All right. I think we're live here. So let me start out by welcoming all Hoosier Democrats and others from around the state to the Indiana Democratic Party's Facebook Live election night broadcast here. I want to first thank our interpreters who are with us tonight, who are joining us to make sure we have interpretive services during this program. And I want to thank our State Central Committee. The Indiana Democratic Party is governed by a board, which is known as the State Central Committee. And I want to thank our Vice Chair, Cordelia Lewis-Burks, our Treasurer, Henry Fernandez, and our Secretary, Rick Sutton, along with all of our other members who are doing good work across the state today and always for the Democratic Party. And let me introduce my good friend, our Deputy Chair, who sits on the State Committee as well. But Dana Bla is a dynamo. She's our Deputy Chair of Engagement for the Indiana Democratic Party. And she and I will be taking you through election night this evening. So Dana, welcome. Thanks so much for everything you do to engage our Democrats across the state. And you're going to be probably carrying more of this program than me just because of your ability to do so. But so glad you're able to come on and do this with me tonight.
Man, I am so excited. I'm feeling the blue wave. It's just bubbling up inside of me. I believe we're going to do some amazing things. Thank you so much, Chair, for guiding us this year. It has been a tumultuous year. It has been a trying year, trying to make sure that people could vote absentee, making sure that polling places were going to be open. You did the work negotiating and trying to convey what our desires were, and you kept running into roadblocks, but you kept fighting for us. So a lot of people don't know what you do behind the scenes to make sure that our election cycles are neat and clean. And so thank you for all the work that you've been putting in. Y'all, it is a great night. Happy holiday. Yes, it's a holiday. Election night. Okay, I'm calm now, boss. I'm calm.
Awesome. Well, we are going to be doing this for a few hours, so bear with us as we welcome speakers on and making sure that we are getting people on from around the state. We're going to have several elected officials and candidates we're going to be coming up here shortly. Let me just say a couple things about this election. We are, Dana talked about behind the scenes what's going on. Where I'm here at the State Democratic Party offices in Indianapolis. Dana's also here in Indianapolis, I think, at her house. But behind the scenes now, we've been up since the early morning hours, as I'm sure a lot of you who are watching have. And what's been going on all day is a solid voter protection program to make sure that we're making sure everyone gets to exercise their constitutionally protected right to vote, making sure that people have the best information about where to vote, and then, of course, who to vote for. And that's a lot of what goes on behind the scenes at the party and on campaigns. And our candidates have been doing a yeoman's job of getting out there and talking to people and having the right message. And this election has been about healthcare. It's been about public education. It's been about the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which we think certainly could be done a lot better here in Indiana, but also nationally. And we have a presidential race tonight. And I think I got asked a couple times today by some reporters, when do you think you'll know results? And I said, I don't know, but I'm willing to wait. People stood in line to exercise the right to vote. I'm willing to wait to be patient for election results to be tallied and released to folks when we know, and make sure every one of those votes is counted and counted well. So I really am appreciative of everything our candidates have done this year, Dana. I know you are too, and that the messages are there. We're on the right side of history as Democrats.
Absolutely. Our platform was solid when we introduced it this year. We talked about everything. We talked about making sure that people have a living wage. We wanted to make sure that people had the right to collective bargain. We had stipulations in there about protecting our environment because we want to leave the planet better than what we found it for our young folk. And speaking of our young folks, the Indiana Young Democrats have been out doing yeoman's work today, hitting all the polling places, making all the phone calls, talking to people, inspiring other young people to run. And that's what our party is about. We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to participate in this citizen government. We don't want to limit it. We don't want to say we want everybody to vote, even if they don't agree with our policies. But our policies are so important because they are about how do we improve the lives of Hoosier families, young folk. And this COVID crisis really highlighted a lot of cracks in our infrastructure and cracks in our system. Unfortunately, John, I know you agree with me when I say that we didn't have real leadership in our state house this go round. Unfortunately, when whenever the vice president came in town, the governor changed his mind. So I wasn't sure who was actually the governor, Mike Pence or John Holcomb. What is his name? Holcomb. I can't think of. Yeah, great. I'm hoping to forget it soon. That's the deal. Some things you just want to wash away. But this election is so important, and the level of turnout. And this goes out to all of our clerks. All of our county clerks that run these elections, it is so when you vote for your county clerk, know that you're trying to elect someone that's going to ensure equal access to the ballot. I know that there are clerks all over our state that have been putting in the work. There's a lot at stake this election. This is not one of those where you can sit at home and hang out and not be involved, because every aspect of our life will be impacted by the results tonight. That's right. And with that, I think it's time to welcome our first guest, and somebody who will have an impact on the state when she, in her first day of session. I have to say, a lot of people don't know that when you run for the Indiana General Assembly, you become the member of the legislature upon your election. So I am very proud now that we have on my new state senator, Shelley Yoder from Bloomington. I want to thank Senator Mark Stoops for his service the last 8 years. And Shelley is a wonderful person. She was a great candidate, and she's going to be a great state senator. I'm really happy that she's on. Shelley, I believe you're on here, and want to turn it over to you. Good evening. Congratulations. You're officially Senator Yoder as of an hour and 7 minutes ago by my time. So congrats. What can you share with us?
Thanks, Chairman Zody. When I was listening to you and Deputy Chair Dana Bla, I kind of got choked up. I was so moved by all the hard work that party leadership has done leading up to today. And so thank you. It's great to be here. And I just want to give a shout out to our county clerk, Nicole Brown. I also want to give a shout out to our party leadership here in Monroe County, Jennifer Crossley, as well as you mentioned, Chairman Zody, our outgoing state senator, Mark Stoops, as well as a good friend and leader in our state senator, Vice Simpson. I also want to thank all of the women who are running throughout the state of Indiana. I was a part of 25 Women for 2020, and the way that we've been able to build each other up and getting each of us across this finish line has been remarkable. And I also know that my campaign committee over the last several months has been working hard, and a special shout out to Clark Collier, who was such a good friend and has always been a good friend since my first run in 2012 for Congressional District number 9 here in Indiana. And I just want to thank him, as well as my family, and in particular, my husband, Josh. It's been an incredible run, but I want to say a special shout out specifically to all of the activists who have worked tirelessly since the day after 2016, when we all woke up sick to our stomachs and committed to getting us to this day. And we don't know what the outcome will be, but for the last several years, we've been marching in the streets, marching around our courthouse squares, and today we vocalized our activism in the voting booth. And while the polls may be closed, our work will continue regardless of the outcome. So we have to take a deep breath, anticipate the results, be excited about a blue wave, and no matter what happens, we're going to continue doing the work to make Indiana the place that so many people who call it home is an equitable place when it comes to access to engaging the economy, when it comes to public education and supporting it, when it comes to access to healthcare and supporting reproductive justice, and making sure that we're doing all we can to mitigate and to adapt to this climate crisis for the state of Indiana.
Thank you, Senator. And again, congratulations. I will say, I want to say that your election this fall wasn't particularly competitive, if I may say, but you were out there working and supporting candidates locally. And if anybody knows you, they wouldn't expect anything less, but thank you for supporting the party and their candidates. And I know you're going to be a great senator and going to be a great addition to the Senate caucus up here. So Great to be
We
with
were
you.
out all day today. We finished the day at Grandview Elementary School, and I was out there with a volunteer for Alyssa Bailey for state reps candidacy. And he looked at me, he's like, "Don't, do you have any opposition?" And I was like, "No, I'm just out here to make sure that voters know that we appreciate them. And we know that, first of all, they worked a full day. And we only stay open until 6 o'clock. So they're scrambling, they're working all day. Their kids are home from school because schools are closed. And yet we need to do a better job making sure that Hoosiers have better access to the polls. And there's a lot of work there. And I'm excited to be able to do the work along with my colleagues in the state Senate.
And I know you are definitely team every Hoosier family. Just the fact that you put your pronouns in your name today just gives a clear indication that every Hoosier it comes to mind for you. So talk about you're elected now, boss lady. You are the shero in place. Talk about some of the things that you're going to be putting on the desk for those committees to consider.
Dana, well, I am just following in your footsteps. I mean, if anyone in this who's watching on Facebook Live right now, the sense of gratitude I have for you and your leadership in this state, I just know I learn from you every day, and I appreciate you every single day. So thank you. But we're going to make sure that every single Hoosier has a chance to engage the economy, because when every Hoosier does have a chance to engage the economy, the entire economy of Indiana is stronger. So yes, we're going to be fighting for every Hoosier to have rights, to be protected under the law, and to make sure that no matter the age, that people know that Indiana is home for them, and that each one of us are going to fight for them to call it home.
Well, that's what's up. I'm telling you, Senator Shelley Yoder is a hero to so many young girls around the state. We have been watching you shine for so long. We are excited to see you in our state house. You represent very well. I know I don't live in Monroe County, and I have a great senator, but I'm claiming you too. I'm claiming Senator Shelley Yoder in District 40, who is holding it down for Monroe County. You're an asset to our party. You're an asset to our state. And I know that you are going to do amazing things. Congratulations.
I know Chairman Zody and I welcome you and claim you as an honorary resident of District 40. So don't you even shy away from that.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for shining and just, doing the hard work and just being there. That's so important.
Have a great night. Here's to a blue wave.
Thanks, Senator. Congratulations. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Oh, John.
All right. Thank you to State Senator Shelley Yoder. We're going to be, Dana, we're picking it right up here with Renee Pack, who is our newest state representative from the 92nd District on the west side of Indianapolis, succeeding, I should say. You never want to say replace, but succeeding State Representative Carly Macer, who served for 8 years and was a great leader for the west side. So Representative Renee Pack, welcome. Tell us about your time in office, which is an hour and 15 minutes long so far.
Am I in officially? I thought it was at midnight.
No, you're in, this lady.
Okay. Chairman Zody and Dana Bla, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. And Chairman Zody, you're the first one to refer to me as Representative Pack. Thank you for that. But we're excited over here at our house. I got to head out of here in a little bit, but I just want to thank the residents here on the west side for just being there 100% for me as we've gone through this process. And although I didn't have an opponent, it was always important to me that I still be visible. I still reach out and I help and support other candidates from our area. And so I'm looking at results and biting my fingernails and waiting to hear about our state Senate race and our school board and advisory board races here in Wayne Township, Speedway, and west side of Indianapolis.
Well, you had I know you ran for state representative because you wanted to serve the West Side. What Dana asked Senator Shelley Yoder that was on before us. Kind of what are your plans here for going into session? We've got had such an interesting year, and what are you thinking for session here as we convene in 2021?
Well, we've already begun the work of kind of sorting out what we want to do come January. To me, our economy, top number one, economic equality, another issue that we've got to take steps to ensure that every Hoosier has that equality when it comes to just basic living. We're going to be presented with some issues like like homelessness because of the COVID crisis. That's a very big concern for me. We're moving into a 2-year period I see as a time of really restoration and repairing, because we've shown the COVID virus shown us the gaps and the openings in our society that we've got to start paying attention to. It's just a shame, and I'm so sorry for those who have been sick and those that have lost their lives here in Indiana. And I'm just hoping that going forward, we have leadership that's really going to pay attention to the science, pay attention to the health issues, and really turn this thing around and do something so that we don't lose any more Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Representative Pack, I've got to ask, you are on the ticket the same year that Kamala Harris is on the ticket for VP. What does it mean to be a woman of color in this Democratic Party and be elected to office?
Dana, it's so funny you asked that, because when I saw the ballot, when the mail-in ballot started coming in, and I looked at the top as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and then it's only a couple steps down, there I was.
I love it.
2 steps down, I says, I'm on the same ballot as our first African-American vice president woman. Look what can happen in this life, and it to me, it's like a honor and a blessing, a payback for just a lot of years of service and just watching people like that. I watch politicians, I watch community leaders, and I just want to be a strong one and live up to that, being on a ballot with Kamala Harris, Senator about to be VP. This is amazing time. You're gonna mess around. They're gonna call this the Big Tent Party, because we are the Big Tent Party. We bring all the ideas in. We want all the input from everybody. We want to make sure our tent is full of all kinds of good stuff. Congratulations on winning. I've been watching you for years. We kind of met when I was a rookie out here, and you've been the student spirit that I've had a chance to get to know. And I'm so proud of your accomplishment. Welcome to the State House. Hey, thank you, Dana. Let me say this too. I think the first time we met, our hearts connected, because I saw so much great promise and so much excitement that you had for the people here in the state. And I thank you for that. And your fire never goes out. It's always on. The furnace is always on.
Hey,
always encouraging people. And and just for a second, I want to thank my family, my husband and my children, for all their support. And of course, my former state representative, Carly Macer.
Now me and Representative Carly Macer used to do a thing, and she used to always scream out, "West Side." Can we get a West Side from you?
West Side!
I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Representative Renee Pack, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you, John.
Welcome to the State House. Welcome to, don't say welcome to public service, because you already know that, but we're excited to have you at the State House.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
All righty. Take care.
Bye.
Well, Dana, looks like we're continuing on here with our dashes around the state. So we've had Bloomington, Indianapolis. Now we're going to go up to South Bend and hear from newly elected State Representative Maureen Bauer. Now, Representative Bauer is, we've been saying that for a while in District 6 in South Bend area. However, Maureen is her own person and is going to do a great job to succeed her dad and her grandfather in House District 6. So let's bring on State Representative Maureen Bauer if she's with us. There she is.
Oh,
How are you? Congratulations.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
congratulations on the hard work.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, similar to Senator Yoder and Senator Pack, we had a very different general election compared to the primary, but happy to join you all here today.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
You know, Chairman Zody, pretty soon people are going to think that we don't have any men in our party. But
Hey.
that is 3 brand new ladies joining the General Assembly. Maureen Bauer, Representative, talk about the importance of having more women representing our constituents around the state.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the issues that mean the most to me is the fact that we have such horrible maternal and infant mortality rates in the state of Indiana. We know the stats now, and we need to address them. So that'll be a main priority going into this next legislative session. But so many of us have made sacrifices this past year. It's been such a strange year, such a strange election night.
Yeah.
But so many continue to worry about the future. So going forward, it was important to support our youth who are going to be worrying about just simple things like paying for their next semester of college, or if their elected officials are going to hear their voice and address the looming threat of climate change. The COVID-19 pandemic has left so many of us wondering about our loved ones in assisted living facilities. Black men and women that are demanding their voices to be heard, and for us to reform our criminal justice system and place value on their lives. So what I've learned in this past year is that our leadership has shown us that it's now up to us. We need to serve our communities and one another and create policy that makes Indiana an equitable state for all and improves the quality of life for us here at home.
So it looks like you have some big shoes to fill out of that South Bend area. I know that there are folks that are up there working all of the time and working super hard. Especially, I think about our young Democrats President Ariel Brandy, and of course, there's this guy you may have heard of, Mayor Pete something or another. But representing South Bend has got to be a fulfilling thing for you. Tell us what that means and how you plan to move forward in the State House again.
Yeah, we are positioned in a unique place where we are a little blue dot in a red state. But I don't think we should take that for granted. We saw record turnout today, just like we did across the state and across the nation, where Hoosiers stood in line for hours to have their voices heard. We're celebrating the 100-year anniversary of women's right to vote. But with the understanding that people were left out in that. And we continue to see voter suppression for communities of color, for the elderly and the disabled. So going into this year, we have a lot of work to do, and it even goes down to reforming how we vote. Why not let us register day of? Why not expand absentee vote by mail? It's our vote that makes us a democracy, and we'll fight firmly to protect that right.
Are you trying to get Chairman Zody fired up tonight talking about voter rights?
There we go.
I'm hyped. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Watch it.
There we go.
Well,
So what, at 6 a.m.?
Congratulations and welcome to the State House. Taking that percentage of the number of women representing us in the state of Indiana. The Democratic Party already had the largest women caucus, the majority in the caucus. We just expanded it, and I'm loving it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bauer. Look forward to seeing you in Indianapolis.
I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Alrighty, thanks.
John?
Well, Dana, speaking of women elected to office, we're going to take a turn back a little bit to 2019. Certainly not take a turn back progress-wise, but going back to last year, we were glad to elect a historic number of women to mayoral office, pick up seats in the suburbs that we had never elected Democrats to before. And it was great to be joined in our municipal races. They're a lot of fun because they are. It's a statewide election, but there are all these different campaigns running around the state that we are able to help with if that's what the candidates want us to do. And so certainly the 5th District, we've got joining us now is our colleague on the state committee, Leanne Grove-Holka, who's our 5th District chair, I believe. Leanne is on, and then we're going to bring on Mayor Treva Hodges from Charlestown in just a minute. But we can bring Leanne on, and Leanne has got a busy night like the rest of us, but we are going to. I just saw that Leanne joining us later, but we might have the mayor of Zionsville. Is Mayor Styron?
It looks like Trevor and Emily, and the mayor, the lady mayor.
So there's Mayor Styron. So Mayor Styron and Mayor Hodges, great. So both elected to office last year. To the bottom left of your screen is Dr. Treva Hodges, the mayor of Charlestown, Indiana, down the Ohio River in Clark County, if you're not sure where Charlestown is, and Mayor Emily Styron, elected, the first Democrat elected in Zionsville, is just doing a great job up there. And it's not been without its challenges working with a Republican town council, as we've seen on some things, but she's doing a great job. They both are. And I want to turn it over to the mayors, and we'll just go in alphabetical order if that's all right. So Mayor Hodges and then Mayor Styron, if that's all right.
Hey everybody, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you for having us on. It's been an exciting year so far. It really tests your mettle to be able to find common ground with folks that are politically opposed to you. So I think that's the key, is looking for opportunities to bridge those gaps. And for me, being a part of the Democrat Party, that's what makes us by far the strongest party. We celebrate unity, we celebrate diversity, and I think that it gives us a perspective where we can be more likely to be those bridge builders where we need to. We're mayors for all of our citizens, not just those that either vote for R or Ds. And I think that at least here in Charlestown, that's what I'm trying to accomplish. Let's move our city forward and focus on what we're trying to get done.
Absolutely. Mayor Styron?
Yeah, I 100% agree with Mayor Hodges. Municipal government is that beautiful spot where we can focus on the day-to-day governmental affairs that actually impact us the most on a day-to-day basis, and can start to shape the impression of our local residents about what it means to be Republican and Democrat. And Democrats can be fiscally conservative and they can be fiscally progressive. They can hire a whole bunch of women in positions of power and by golly, still get a whole bunch of really awesome work done.
Imagine that.
It is. It's crazy. We can have, we can have civil yet challenging conversations around the issues that are most electric in our society today, and still be neighbors and still be able to find some areas to agree on. It's a fantastic spot to be in, a mayor in a town in the state of Indiana.
So one of the cool things about election night, I want to take you guys back last year when you were watching the numbers come in and the results come in. What are our candidates who are watching the election results? What are they going through right now?
Well, I will say I'm just going to jump on in there. For me, all along, I was running because we need to have contested elections. I never dreamed I would win. I was running because if we don't show up to give people choices, then we're failing in terms of being able to give a voice to people who want alternatives to what has been the traditional one party choice over and over and over again, particularly at the local level. So I ran to give people a choice and to change the conversation and to raise expectations. And that felt like a really good reason to put myself out there. and winning was a crazy, incredible bonus to all of that. And getting to show up and do the work every day is fantastic. But I think it's important to state from the very beginning is we run because people deserve a choice and because conversations should be had at length before the people walk into the voting booth. And that's what we give people is choices first. And then if we're really super, impactful or lucky or, the moon's the right sort of thing, we win and it's fabulous. So that's my 2 cents worth on that.
Absolutely. I think at this point in time on election night, I was in kind of denial. My race was so close, and it was very difficult to just accept the fact that indeed, 24 votes can win an election, but they can. And
Yes.
so it's incredibly eye-opening. But the reality really sunk in, I think, in the next coming weeks as I started putting together, boards and commissions and all these appointed positions. And like Mayor Styron said, you have that wake-up call of what representation truly means. And so suddenly being the first woman mayor in Clark County, Indiana, put me in a position where we now have a record number of women and minorities in appointed positions within our city boards and commissions. And we didn't have that before. And so I know that there are little girls out there that are seeing me in office and they're thinking, hey, wow, for the first time, I can see someone like me in office. And that's incredibly empowering. So it's not something that I ever had on my bucket list to do, but it's certainly not anything I regret doing. And especially having women leadership like this during this year with COVID, I think has heightened our ability in Charlestown to show a level of empathy and concern that perhaps wasn't there before. Because I have a record number of women not only working for me in staff positions, but also in appointed boards, it also means that we have certain challenges because let's face it, women are still primary caregivers in many of our households today in heteronormative couples. And so, I'm being as adaptive as I can to make sure that the women who work in the city of Charlestown have the time they need to take care of their families, but that they will not lose their careers just because of some pandemic that happened to hit them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Empowered us in a way that we didn't have before.
And when I'm sorry, Chair.
Dana.
I know that when women are at the table, the discussion changes. And this year we have shown that women can lead at the executive level. Here we have two mayors who understand, I'm not just the mayor of the blue part of my city. I'm the mayor of the entire city. We have Linda Lawson running as lieutenant governor and Senator Kamala Harris running as vice president. It's well past time that we continue to add more women to the executive branch of our government. Can you speak to that? Can you talk about where that energy that we bring to the table?
Well, I mean, if Mayor Styron doesn't mind, I'll speak to that. I'll jump on board here. I think that it's not just that, we have women involved. I think that, there's this different kind of ethic of care that comes along with being a woman. We've been raised to many times acculturated into becoming caregivers, and we just have a different perspective of things that perhaps men haven't been acculturated to. And so it does change the conversation. Suddenly we're concerned about whether people have hot meals to eat during a shutdown or, what's happening with our moms when, families are having to choose between, who has to stay at home with the kids because they're on e-learning this week, do we have that flexibility? And I think women are awesome multitaskers. And because we've been, raised to be amazing multitaskers, it helps us realize the strains and stresses that go along with that and to make concessions where we can. And to realize that maybe things that were traditional, just because it's tradition doesn't mean it's great. And so it helps you open your eyes, I think, to see who's not at the table, who's not in the room. Because for so long we weren't in the room. I wear my suffragist white every election day because I'm thankful to the grandmothers who came before me, who fought for my right to be sitting in City Hall every day.
And see, I wear my tie for the very same reason. I feel like, why can't I wear my tie? Mayor Styron?
I just want to say, Mayor Hodges, that's so inspiring to me, and I'm grateful for your leadership and your perspective in that regard. I will say that I have two sons and a daughter, and I believe all three of them have the capacity to change the world, and that they are perfect and and amazing. And I just want to see that in each person that I encounter, whether regardless of gender or any other way we want to classify ourselves as humans. I will say that I asked Julie Johns Cole to be my deputy mayor, and so I started off two ladies taking over town hall, and a reporter asked me when I appointed Julie in that role. He said, "Is this going to be your thing, that you hire women in your executive role?" And I said, "No, it's not my thing. I feel like Julie is a perfect complement to me, and we have such great synergy. And this isn't about her being female or not. It's just the rapport and the vision that we share. And I feel real good about her. It's not me, just being someone who's going to hire women." And yet, since that time, I have repeatedly continued to appoint women to be in them roles of leadership. I swear I am picking the best person in every situation. But I do feel like female leadership brings on a wave of women who are like, I want to do that too. Like, I want to be a part of that. And we have a very dynamic and strong leadership team in the town of Zionsville. There are still several men that are still a part of that. But it's definitely a sea change in terms of the town of Zionsville, and with regard to what leadership looks like. I'm kind of a cerebral sort of person too, and I really like to dig into policy and process and tinker and fix things. So I'm really excited about the talent and the strength of our leadership team, and the ways that they are starting to take the work of local government and really bring it into the 21st century in Zionsville. And it's exciting. It's serving our community in a pandemic in their first year, with all kinds of things that have been hurled at us. We're bringing on a new corporate entity into our town. We are building a dog park that has been the plans have been in place for like 14 years, and we're finally making that happen. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff we're doing too. And I think that women are just like, let's just get this shit done and stop talking about it. Let's pull it all together and just do it, because it's time. It's time. I mean, we don't need to just keep, bumping fists and saying, look at these plans we've got. Let's make them happen.
Well, I think that reporter might have been just a little sensitive. That's all.
I mean, I did tell him a few weeks ago, I said, I think it maybe is my thing.
and there's nothing wrong with it. It's time for it to be somebody's thing.
I'm really not.
History is riddled with our absence, so it's about time, Chairman, you wanted to ask a question?
Well, Mayor Starman kind of hit on it, but let me ask Mayor Hodges. You guys took office on January 1st, and like March 15th, we went into a shutdown. And so, you had about 2.5 months in office where you were, they always say drinking from a fire hose, but my goodness. So tell us about, Mayor, you talking about you're still moving ahead on the dog park and bringing in some economic development. Mayor Hodges, what did you, and either of you, what did you, how do you even characterize this year? It's your first year in office, and here we are. So what would you say to all those folks? Look, there's no election in Indiana next year, so we've got all this time to recruit candidates and talk about public service, and we're probably going to lean on you guys to help us with that. And so, what would you tell people that you run for office, you take out, you win a close election, and you take office, and 2 months later you are in a world you never thought you'd live in. So tell us about that.
My husband spent 31 years as a federal law enforcement agent, and he told me when at the 2 a.m. conversation where I was so frustrated with city government, where he finally said, "You just need to run for mayor." And I finally made the decision to run. He told me, he said, when you win, because he never said if, he always said when you win, you'll find that public service is simultaneously the most rewarding and the most frustrating experience you'll ever have.
Mhm.
He was not wrong. He was not wrong. It's been exciting. If you like adventure, if you like learning new things, I've always considered myself a lifelong learner. You know, I got a PhD while I was in my campaign year. I finished my PhD, and so there's no faint of heart there at all. I literally defended my dissertation and then immediately went out on the campaign trail the next day right after. Like, I mean, here we go. Like, you know, but there's no time to slow down. It's incredibly exciting and so rewarding. I know more now about wastewater operations than I ever thought I would know. You want to hear about my biolac pond? Come on down. I'll give you a tour of my wastewater pond, because I'm an all-in kind of person. And I think that's what it takes. And I think that's what voters want right now. You know, it's not about so much party affiliation or what someone does or whatever. It's what are you going to do for us?
Mhm.
And I think being all in like that is what makes us, that's what separates us. And I think that's probably why we're seeing such a surge of women and a surge of women Democrats, because for so long we've been told, no, sit on the sidelines. And we're like, hold up, I think I can do this. I know I can do this. And here we are, and we're doing it. We're putting our boots on, and we're getting out there, and we're touring the plant, and we're learning the job, and we're riding in the trash trucks. We're going to the landfill. You know, we're getting it done. And Charlestown's moving ahead despite the pandemic. I turned the pandemic into an opportunity. Just today, I got word from the IFA, the Indiana Finance Authority, that I got reimbursed on the last penny of my CARES Act money. I wasn't about to send a dime of that back, y'all. I found a way to use it. We have saved money in payroll. We've saved money in fuel costs. We've been incredibly fiscally responsible this year. And I think that we're moving towards a time where, you know, Charlestown's really stepping ahead. We've got 2 major developments in the works of blighted areas that have been, you know, neglected for a long time. We've got road improvements we're looking at. Like, despite the pandemic, we're moving ahead, and we're doing it while taking care of our citizens in a way that maybe previously was overlooked. So, I mean, I've been able to give out, we've got $250,000 of grant money to give out to small business relief, so that our small businesses, which are the meat and potatoes of our community, keep going. Because, you know, a prior administration just wasn't willing to apply for those kinds of grants. Well, I am. I'm going to chase that money down. I'm going to do whatever I can to serve my community, because I feel like I'm just one big mama, and I got a whole big family now.
Big mama.
I'm going to take care of them, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that their needs are met wherever I can. And I think that even means that we have to start thinking about, like, what are the government's roles? And I'm excited to do that. So I'm all in.
Awesome.
I love it. That's so fantastic.
Right? Are you not
Right.
inspired?
I love it.
I want to go out
So
now and
fantastic.
just.
And I'm right with you on that wastewater treatment plant,
Yes.
girlfriend. Like, going and watching all the bio whatever things that happen. But it's cool. I mean, like, that is important. That is, I want to flush. And that right there makes sure that it all works the way it's supposed to. Like, I love local government. So I'm a little different, because I literally moved to Indiana in the early 90s to go to grad school so that I could be in municipal government. Like, it's been the thing that I have loved and studied and worked in for and public sector in general for 25 years. So what was funny for me is that it never occurred to me that I would ever be a politician. Like, that just seemed like, oh no, I'm not going to be that. That's gross. I'm the person that works for the politician and make sure that they get all their, you know, do all the right things. And it's been terrific to translate that into this role and start to figure out, so what does it mean to be, you know, both a person who wants to sort of get involved in things that are maybe a little, I should probably let other people do, and also be that role, that mama bear, that kind of higher level visionary, and certainly in this particular year, a source of comfort and a steady hand. I do think that you mentioned having support for businesses through a grant or some sort of relief process. We did that here too. We actually created our own, though, because we had a TIF district that had funding in it that was specifically associated with our village business district, which was getting really the bulk of the hit from COVID. And being able to transform that funding source into immediate grant dollars, that's just that, you just need to tell us you need it, and that's pretty much what we need from you. That has really meant a lot, and I think it's meant for some folks that they can weather this, and without it they might not have. That's been a really fantastic to be able to know that we're playing an active role in helping our businesses not just weather this pandemic, but to put in systems and mechanisms so that they're more resilient in the future too.
Man, you two are knocking it out the box. You have inspired young ladies all over the state. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Y'all got cities to run. Y'all got to go get busy. There's work tomorrow.
Mayor Emily Styron of Zionsville, Mayor Treva Hodges of Charlestown, thank you both for everything you're doing, and thanks for leading by example in the Democratic Party.
Have a great night, y'all. Now, listen, before we bring on our next guest, I want to just holler and say, you guys have seen all these amazing women that are running. If you are a young lady and you are interested in getting involved in our Democratic Party and you want some leadership training, look for when we're taking applications for Hoosier Women Forward. That is our, a party affiliate organization that's cultivating leaders, women leaders to take over cities like mayors and things of that nature. So I had to get that plug in there because we're just bringing the sisterhood to the show. You're not gonna be lonely.
It's good. What's that?
You're not gonna be lonely though. Our next guest will bring some testosterone to the scene.
Well, we're glad to have him, and one of the big groups of races, I should say, we're watching tonight are the Indiana House Democrats. Certainly, our friends over in the state Senate looking to pick up some seats there, but. A lot of eyes are on the House tonight, and we're glad to have House Democratic leader Phil Giaquina, who represents District 80 up in Fort Wayne. Leader Giaquina, are you on with us? There you are.
Hey, John. Hi. I'm here.
How are you?
What's going on, boss? Minority leader, what's happening?
Yeah, just watching the results with the early ones coming in with everyone else.
Well, I'll ask the proverbial question. What are you hearing out there?
Well, it's kind of early still, so I know there is some continuing voting, I think, going on in some counties are having some issues.
There are a couple counties that have pretty long lines.
Yep, saw some results trickle in up from Allen County, Fort Wayne. So close race up there in Allen County, District 81. And just again, some early results coming in. Haven't seen too much yet, so I'm sure we'll be watching the results here over the next couple hours.
Mr. Leader,
go ahead.
Mr. Leader, you have been fighting an uphill. First of all, I've been trying to get the man on my show for a long time, and he's been dodging me. So I got questions. Anyway, Mr. Leader, you have been, pushing a boulder uphill with this super majority that doesn't want to listen to bills, don't want to send them to committee, basically just disregarding half of the state of Indiana. Talk about what it'll mean if we could flip some of these seats, especially in Allen County, Marion County, and some of the other places.
Yeah, no, it'd be great. I mean, I think you're spot on when you say that, because it's just not in the legislature, but then every election year with the maps that were drawn, nearly 10 years ago now, that really put us in this place. I mean, they really gerrymandered the heck out of them. So it's always an uphill battle. We know that every district's contested, but look, in the smaller district state rep races that we have, we can get out there. Candidates can go meet one-on-one with voters and things like that, and that's very helpful. It was a tricky year this year, no doubt. There were some challenges with regards to trying to get out and meet people because of the COVID situation. Definitely made it a lot more of a challenge than maybe what we're used to. But I really do. I give all the candidates all the credit in the world, sort of, to be able to kind of maneuver through those things. But it's difficult. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I've been in both the majority and, of course, now the minority, and the majority is a lot more fun. And we're going to continue to strive to, every election going forward, we'll just keep working our hardest to kind of claw back and win more seats.
Leader, you mentioned you've been in the majority and the minority, but you've also seen the state change quite a bit over the last several years. And, the targets that some of the targeted most competitive races are different than they were maybe when you came into the General Assembly. Can you talk a little bit about just, we've talked a lot about the realignment going on and the changing in the battlegrounds, and that's been no different, certainly in our legislative races. In fact, that's where it's been largely focused. Can you talk about how that has been a priority of the caucus and how you guys have moved your efforts?
Yeah, I think when they drew these maps, they basically made it a sort of a rural suburban legislature, but it's turning more urban suburban, and over the past couple cycles, 2-3 cycles now, we've seen where folks running those suburban areas are getting anywhere between 45 and 50%. And so we've seen the growth there, as we'll probably see how with Christina Hale's campaign in Marion County, Hamilton County, and the counties surrounding Marion County. So, and this is no different really than probably a lot of the areas around the country where Democrats are doing better in the suburban areas, along with, of course, urban areas. It's frankly, some of the rural areas where we still struggle, and we need to continue to make some inroads.
We need to make some inroads, but we also know the cows and pigs don't vote. I'm just saying, the cows and pigs don't vote. We have, we got to make sure that we turn out the voter in those urban centers. And you mentioned Hamilton County. When the population increases, we know it has a tendency to lean a little bit more blue. But Hamilton County, the highest income per capita county, been red forever. I mean, there are true opportunities to flip some house seats over there.
Yeah, and frankly, not just this year, but really going forward too. Again, as I just said, it's the suburban areas, not just in Indiana, but really all over the country. I mean, that's what we were expected to see heading into into election night. And so I mean, I think a lot of our message on all fronts with regards to education opportunities, healthcare costs, things like that are issues that I think resonate too in those areas, and those folks are very, I think, are with us on the issues there. Again, how these campaigns go though. We can be right on all the issues, and then we end up maybe getting outspent by so much that sometimes that can be difficult to overcome as well. So sometimes while we definitely need the money, of course, to run these campaigns that are expensive. But a lot of times, too, it's just good old shoe leather, too, getting out there and knocking on doors and talking to folks and continue to make. And we're just going to try and continue to make headway in these areas.
Leader, one of the things that you talk about, what are we talking about with voters? And, I really just think any opportunity we have as Democrats to talk about public education and how we need to support that. And, you're there, you look at the legislation, but I think a lot of people around the state, they look at, and I think this is part of a message from some Republicans that we saw, they talk about K through 12 education, but the word public isn't in front of it. And when we're talking about spending on K through 12 education, and it's not public education they brag about increasing spending on, it's just K through 12. And we are continuing to see money sort of moved away from public schools. And I just think that anytime we get an opportunity to have someone on like yourself that can talk through that from a policy end, and I mean, you're a political guy, you're an elected official, but you're also a lawmaker who represents, one of the largest school corporations in the state. So you have to look at this from even a non-political perspective, and tell us about protecting public education and why that is so important for people to hear, not from me, a party chair, but from a lawmaker, someone who's in office, to make sure we get that done.
That's a great point. And that's one of the things we were just talking about with, media and things like that, and getting the message out, because so often the message is distorted, and we're hearing about, that we are against an increase and education funding. That obviously totally is not true. But what we are for is fighting for public education, so that kids that are going through the public schools have a chance. We want to support educators that deserve a pay raise. And of course, obviously, we just want to make sure that our public schools are the best equipped. That parents that want to send their kids to public education know full well that when they do, that their child is going to get the best education possible. So this was never even a question when I first got into the legislature back in 2007. There were some charter schools out there, I understand, but the idea of paying for kids to go to private school was never even really talked about. And that's something that's obviously been around for 10 years. And it's really cut into that piece of the pie. We only have so many dollars, and it's really cut into that piece of the pie that goes toward public education. And it can be a real detriment, frankly, to neighborhoods, to cities, and things like that. When we just got done talking about where the growth is in urban and suburban centers, but I got to tell you too, there's a lot of rural school districts are losing money as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Due to this. So it's just not those other areas that I mentioned. So again, we will continue to fight for better funded schools.
So I have we got to ask you about your win and how you feeling about that. But before we do that, this is one last question. It's the long session year, correct? You guys are going to be talking about the budget. Talk about some of the areas that our party and our caucus is going to be looking at to get into that budget to get funded for the next couple of years, and then say all of your thank yous.
Well, great question, because a lot of this is still kind of unknown, particularly when it comes to the economy and the impact that COVID has had on the budget and how that's going to look going forward. So there's going to be some difficult challenges, I think, for the legislature this year when it comes to the budget and school funding, just spending priorities in general. And it's going to be up to House Democrats to do all we can to make sure that, obviously, again, working for our own constituents, but want to do all that we can to make sure that education is spending is a priority for public education in particular. And we want to make sure that we're going to do everything we can to help small businesses to recover from the COVID situation that we're seeing the state in. And as cases continue to grow, there is unfortunately some impact there on businesses and on the economy going forward. So we know we have our work cut out for us as we go forward.
And your thank yous. Did you thank everybody?
Well, thank you too. Number one, thank you very much for allowing me to be on here. And I just want to thank all the folks that have supported House Democrats and all the candidates that have worked so hard throughout this year. Again, a very trying year. I know they didn't sign up to run during a COVID pandemic, and it's been very difficult. The chairman knows that. I mean, we've had to call a lot of audibles throughout the year and change a few things around. So, but no, I do. It's difficult to put yourself out there and put the time and effort in away from family and friends and all that stuff. So I just admire anybody that does it, and we'll hope for some good results tonight.
All right.
Good luck. We're all pulling for you, and we've actually got coming on next is Chris Campbell. Chris Campbell from the Lafayette area. So Representative Campbell, are you on with us?
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, how's everybody doing tonight?
Representative CC, what's up?
We're talking about this today, actually. Graham Fishel and I were talking about in 2018, we predicted we were going to pick up your seat in the House, and you came in, you were caucused in as a candidate, and you won that race, and you did a great job, and you are unopposed this year, and you are elected to your second term. So I want to congratulate you, and we just had Jake on, gave us a good rundown of things, and tell us about what's going on. How do you feel?
I'm feeling really good. I'm really hopeful for our state and hoping to, as Phil Giaquina said, to help build our caucus so we can actually do some great things for the state. It's been very difficult being in a super minority, and I'm really hoping that we're able to do more for our state next year.
Yep, definitely.
You've
What's
definitely had. Oh, I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Dana. No, please.
You have definitely had like some positive energy every time, you know, I see you at the State House or see you around. Where did all that positive energy come from?
Well, somebody has to be an optimist. You know, I think if I didn't feel like, you know, we're working towards something and trying to do some great things, that, you know, it would probably be more difficult. But I feel like, you know, there's so much that I want to do and so much that needs to be done to make our state a better place. And I just, you know, I'm enthusiastic about making those things happen.
Yep. Representative, you know, Dana, I think it's great that, you know, we COVID's changed a lot of things, and we are all would want to see each other in person. But I think one of the advantages of doing what we're doing tonight, we're just entered our second hour, by the way, is that we're talking to people from all, talking to people from all over the state. We've been bouncing around like a ping pong here. But Representative Campbell, tell us what it's like. You know, you represent the Tippecanoe County area, but tell us what it's like to serve from people from all over the state. And we're about to bring on Representative Earl Harris. If we're able to bring him on and have a conversation here with Representative Campbell, I think that'd be great, because Representative Harris is from East Chicago, about an hour and a half up I-65. But Zoe, if we're able to bring on Representative Harris, that'd be great. And tell us what it's like to just serve to meet other people from around the state and to serve, because you're not just representing your community, but you gotta work with everybody else who's representing theirs. Welcome, Representative Earl Harris.
There's the tech guru. There's the tech guru.
We were just asking Representative Campbell, we're one of the benefits of tonight's broadcast is we're able to talk to people all over the state. Usually it's kind of Indianapolis centric, and we're only able to talk to people that can be in the ballroom, but we're talking to everybody from all over the state, and that goes to your all service. And tell us what it's like to just serve with other people from all over the state and from different areas and different constituencies. And what are the challenges and the opportunities with that? And you were starting to answer, Chris, but I brought it in.
Well, you know, I even though we're from different parts of the state, I feel like we all represent a lot of the same values. I mean, we want education for our children. I think we all feel really strongly about making sure our public schools have funding. You know, like you were talking with Phil Giaquina, it's frustrating. And when I first ran 2 years ago, they were feeling it in the public schools. They could tell that money was disappearing. And our rural schools, you know, talk about trying to meet those rural areas. They're losing their schools, and they're not making the connection between the legislators that they're sending to the state house and the fact that if they hadn't sent those legislators, they may have stronger public schools. They may have the funding. There are schools that have had to close because of the funding. And I don't care if you don't have a charter school or voucher schools in your area, that money is taken out of the big pot of money that would be going to your school. So your school's losing money, whether or not that you realize it's not or not. You know, those schools aren't in your area. So that's one of the most frustrating things I hear is, you know, I think Democrats have been put into kind of this, you know, stereotype of what they think a Democrat is. And, you know, we're people from all over the state. We're parents. I'm an audiologist. Earl works in communications. We've got a doctor. We've got teachers. You know, we have all walks of life, and we want the best for our communities.
That's right. Representative Harris, what would you say?
You know, education is big with me. I mean, I worked in public education for a long time. And when you talk about my area up here in Northwest Indiana, my home city is East Chicago. And my district also goes into Gary. You know, what's gone on in Gary in terms of public education, in terms of the impact of charter schools is huge. I mean, the school system has been taken over, so it's not even run by a school board or by people that are voted into office. And we know that, that's not the most ideal situation. That's something we want to see change. And, I remember learning a long time ago from my father, this was actually when I was working in public education, is that he said that there are a lot of people that figured out there's a lot of money in education. And so, a lot of what's gone on is our students have become ways for people to make money and get rich. And that's not what education is supposed to be like. It's supposed to be about educating young people, getting them ready for life, getting them ready for careers, etc. And we know that that is not always the case. So that's something that we're constantly fighting. We're constantly looking at ways that we can improve. And that, again, with my background in working in public education is big for me. And I'm very clear with my agenda in terms of legislation and things that I work on, doing them to help anyone that wants to get an education. I believe we should do whatever we can to make that happen.
And you know what? You mentioned something I think that people gloss over, and it's unfortunate. People, when corporations invest money into candidates who are running for school board, trust, know, and believe they want something from that candidate. They want a return on their investment. And what people seem to forget about is that when corporations are doing that, or private organizations are taking over public schools, they're going to take their profit off the top. So that's less money for students. This is one of those bugaboos that we've been talking about all year on Turn Left. And if I said one day people are going to realize I actually have the same show every week with just different people. And education was the one topic that came up every week with every candidate, and whether they won their primary or lost it. They talked about the importance of education because that's what they were hearing from their constituents.
Yeah, it's a huge topic. I mean, if our young people aren't prepared for the future, it's not just their future, but it's all of our futures that are affected by that. And if it's really about a money-making thing instead of an education thing, there's no positive that comes out of that. And that's not what we want to see happen. It's not good for our society as a whole.
Absolutely, because we got to teach kids how to discern truth and understand science, so they don't run around trying not to wear masks.
And one of the things I have noticed that the representatives that have the most charter schools don't want charter schools. The areas that they represent don't want charter schools. They would like you to take away their charter schools. Yet the majority of people who don't have charter schools are making the decision to fund these charter schools.
That's sad.
Well, representatives, we are so glad you were able to come on tonight and join us. We're going to jump across the hallway.
And congratulations.
Jump across the rotunda chamber and bring on Senator David Niezgodski. Thank you both for your leadership.
Congratulations, y'all.
You're both great to work with and are great. We're talking a lot about leading by example, and you guys certainly do that both in your districts and in the State House. So thanks so much for being on tonight. And we'll all be watching results, I think, into the wee hours.
We look forward to hearing from you during the general session this year, too.
Yeah.
You guys, have a good night.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
Dana, before we bring on Senator Niezgodski, I have to apologize. I've been up since about 3, so my eyes are getting a little foggy. Jumping off here to, it's like Dr. Evil on Austin Powers when they rolls past it.
Well, that's all right. We can do this. We got Senator
Niezgodski. Senator David Niezgodski from South Bend is on with us. I think we may have another legislator. I'll not name him until I know he's on for sure, but let's bring on Senator David Niezgodski with us.
Senator David Niezgodski from District 10 is one of my favorite senators. He is often, what you guys may not know if you don't know what his part of his platform, he is always working to take care of foster kids and get them into permanent homes. I'm telling you, anybody that works that hard to make sure kids have loving families, he's a friend of mine. Senator, congratulations on the win tonight and welcome.
Thank you, Dana. I appreciate it very much. Chairman Zody, it's great to be here. I really appreciate having the opportunity to say hello tonight. And, I think we all are beginning to get a feeling we could be in for a long night and maybe some extra time, just waiting to see how all these other returns are going to come in. But I tell you, seriously, I'm very excited. I didn't have a fall election this year, which is just a beautiful thing. I had a strong primary, but the thing is, what I learned a long time ago is no matter how these numbers turn out, in my case, I am the single voice in Senate District 10 that represents all those constituents at the State House. And if I don't speak for the needs of the people in my district, no one's going to do that in that capacity. So when we talk about right now being in the minority, one voice, 10 voices, and whatever extra we may gain to this evening and throughout the numbers as they come through, those voices of strength are going to speak towards the needs for people within our party and in this great Hoosier state.
Thank you, Senator. While we're talking about your colleagues, let's bring on Senator Jean Breaux. She's joined us as well, Assistant Democratic Leader.
That's my senator.
Senator Breaux, are you on with us there?
That's my senator representing me, and I love it. Jean Breaux, Senator Jean Breaux, District 34.
I think she's coming on here and to join Senator Niezgotsky, but thanks for what you said, Senator. You're also a big champion of organized labor. You are a member.
Absolutely.
We support organized labor. And there's Senator Breaux. Hey, Senator.
That's my senator.
Okay, hi. Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
So, welcome, Senator.
I'm in my car at the Tibbs Drive-In Theater where the Marion County Democratic Party is celebrating our victories. And it's quite awesome to be able to do it at a movie theater outside.
That's pretty cool.
So that's why the car is a little dark. I'm dark anyway, but the car is a little dark, but that's why, because I'm at a drive-in theater outside.
I love it.
We appreciate. Thanks for multitasking with us, Senator. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are thinking in the Senate. We've got some competitive races coming in tonight. We don't know many results at all yet, and we just talked to one of your new colleagues, State Senator Shelley Yoder from Bloomington, and my new state senator, and we're just excited that there are going to be new faces at the State House. And what can you tell us about the upcoming session?
Well, since you brought me on first, if it's okay, I'll just start, and you can just chime in back and forth if you want, Senator Jean. But I think we're going to have we're going to have a good platform this year. We're going to continue to represent, just like you said, Chairman Zody. We're going to continue to represent the needs of working men and women. We're going to continue to fight very hard to make sure that they always have the best chance to be on a fair playing field. And we're going to continue to prove why we should be working together, because we only work and grow strong when we are doing things together. In Dana, and I really appreciate you speaking on behalf of the foster kids. For a few years now, I've been carrying different legislation that's trying to benefit our foster children, and now also parents with disabilities. And I really believe that there is a very strong chance that we can make headway and we can pass good legislation this year. We just heard that the state of Indiana has been one of the top states for adopting their children, but there's still 1,000 children there to yet need to be adopted and find loving homes. And the state of Indiana just got a grant for I can't remember, but a number of millions of dollars. So I think those dollars can be very useful in helping to provide subsidies to adopt children with special needs and give them some subsidies so they can give them loving homes.
Absolutely. Senator Jean, what do you see in this 2021 session?
Well, the first thing for me is I think I'm not so sure that we've come up with any real way to conduct this legislative session amidst COVID. And that's a concern to me, because if we haven't figured out what the protocols are for us to operate and contract tracing and all of that, I don't really want to go back there. And I don't think there's been any real clear, definitive plan as to how we as legislators are going to conduct our business so that we do so safely, and so that when we return back to our communities, we're not causing potential harm to our constituents. So that, for me, is the first and third I have. And and I'm not convinced that there has been any clear, definitive plan on how this 2021 session is going to be conducted mid-COVID. But speaking of COVID, it has also revealed some real issues, some real disparities in economics and in healthcare and in racial justice, not necessarily related to COVID, but those are all issues that I think are going to be on the agenda of the Senate Democrat Caucus and the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus, of which I'm also a member. So I think I'm really proud that the Senate Democrats are going to help the Black Caucus move our agenda forward as it relates to policing and public safety reforms. But we also need to look at how this is a budget year. How are we going to appropriate these dollars so that they get to communities that have real needs? That COVID has revealed there are a lot of inequities in which some of these state dollars need to be directed to those causes. So I think that's going to be our battle, is to make sure that the Democrat agenda is endorsed and is supported by the Republicans, and that in some form they make our agenda their agenda. That will be our battle. And if we're successful in doing that, then we will be able to benefit many of Hoosier families throughout the state that currently kind of get lost in the shuffle when it comes to dollars being appropriated by this General Assembly, which is predominantly Republican dominated.
Well, we know, Cindy. Sorry, I was going to say, we know.
Senator Greg Taylor, Dana.
Yep. Okay, that's fine. I was gonna say goodnight, but yeah, that works out. We got room. We got room for the senator.
We got room.
Come on, GT. Where you at, Senator GT?
No, what do you mean you were gonna say goodnight, Dana? Are you getting off?
No, I'm partying all night.
I'm getting off. I'm saying goodnight. Okay.
Well, if you need to, Senator, go ahead. We have three senators.
What's up?
We got three senators.
Senator Greg Taylor from Indianapolis, welcome. So we were just talking about coming for next session. Senator Bro was giving us the rundown, and Senator Niezgodsky, I want to welcome you on. Appreciate you joining us tonight. And Dana, you were about to ask a question too, so I don't want to cut you off there.
I just think sending these veterans back to the State House with the leadership and the institutional knowledge about how to get things done. And I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Senator Greg Taylor, because I've seen him go toe to toe when it comes to our budget and how we spend money better than anybody else going against the Republican. He eats them up every time. Talk about the budget, Senator Greg Taylor, and what we're looking to do moving forward.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. We fortunately for me, I sit on the state budget committee, so I know more about what we're doing for the budget. Later on this month, we have to hear from the state educational institutions who are going to be coming to us for assistance with their budgets in regards to higher education. But we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to have to talk about. Revenue is down, as it would be expected during a COVID like this. So we're going to have to make some tough decisions in the legislature. And what I'm hoping is that we have some extra bodies as membership of the Senate so that we could start putting some of our objectives and some of the things that we want to fund on the budget, in the budget. Last budget, unfortunately, we thought we had some good negotiations going on. We had several items in the budget. And when the budget came back from the House of Representatives that we sent over, everything that we had put in was taken out. So, yes, even Senator Bro's piece of legislation that didn't even have a fiscal was taken out of the budget.
$20,000. I asked $20,000 and they took it out.
That's your doula legislation, right, Senator?
Yes, the doula stuff. And we have to be strong enough to fight back against that. And I think we're going to have some extra members to actually fight back against that this year.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear that, because it drives me nuts to see that, half of our state, our constituents, are not being properly represented because the supermajority wielding all of that power refuses to even acknowledge that they are supposed to represent the other part of the state.
Hey, let's bring into the conversation just for a second to our Latinx population.
Absolutely.
They live, work, and they raise their families in this state, and they're denied even being. That makes no sense whatsoever. And they're denied the ability to have, if they can't have a driver's license, they certainly, we could look at having where they could have a driver's card. They want to be able to drive, and they want to have insurance. And if they have to be pulled over for something, they want to say, no, this is who I am. I'm doing everything right. So there's just, they're very, very underrepresented also, but they will not be underrepresented by our caucus.
Well, if it's legally, then you can't fund that prison industrial complex.
That's right.
Well, senators, we really appreciate being on tonight. We're going to keep rolling here. We've got a panel speaking of organized labor and important issues like education. We've got a labor panel.
May I just say thank you?
Yes, Senator, go ahead.
May I just say thank you, John? Thank you, John and Dana, for all of your support that the Indiana Democratic Party has shown the Indiana Senate Democratic Caucus. We appreciate it, and we hope that we'll be make you proud this legislative session in the Senate.
Well, you always do. All right.
The numbers are still coming in. We'll look forward to staying in touch throughout the evening.
I can't wait. I can't wait for a conversation when you eat them up again about that budget. I love it.
There you go. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you. These guys from South Bend, thank you all for being on with us. And we're going to, I think, take a second here, Dana, and we're going to bring on our next panel. We've got some great folks coming on to talk about labor issues and education. And I think we're going to just take a minute to transition here. I want to everybody I had pizza for supper, everybody, so I'm taking my Sprite drinking here. We'll take.
You know what, Chair? I tell you what. If you notice, we've been in lockstep with our platform. We've been talking about education. We haven't even really touched on the environment yet, but there are so many pressing issues that it comes to our constituents. And when we say our constituents, we mean all 92 counties. We actually care about every living, breathing human in our state. And our representatives speak to that. So I'm looking forward to having this labor conversation because we want to make sure people can collective bargain. We want to make sure that people can, negotiate their salaries when they want to. So I'm excited about this discussion.
Let's bring on Zoe. Do we have our panelists on? We can start bringing them on now. Okay.
That's Mr. Hooker.
Mr. Hooker from IBEW.
And Randy Harrison from Randy Harris.
AFT, American Federation.
AFT. Anybody else, Zoe?
I think so far we're got these guys on. We'll just move on. If our other panelists hop on with us, we'll give them a minute here. But want to welcome John Hooker from IBEW Local 481, Randy Harrison from AFT Indiana. Randy's Vice President of AFT Indiana. Of course, we know Gleneva Dunham from up in Gary is the President of AFT Indiana. We appreciate Gleneva's leadership and yours as well, Randy. It's great you guys are on tonight. We're just got off with some of our state legislators, and we're trying to bring issues together here with organized labor, with education, with everything that's going on at the State House during a pandemic, headed into a budget year. And I just wanted to make sure we are talking about issues concerning organized labor, because as the economy goes, that's jobs. And you all, certainly Randy, with teachers, have been in anything but a usual normal environment. I've got one daughter in kindergarten. And so tell us about how things are going and what are some of the challenges with organized labor right now? I know things have been busy. The construction industry's still been busy, John, but still lots of challenges out there. So let me turn it over to you guys. And John, we'll start with you, and then Randy will go to you. And I think we're going to see some other panelists hop on. So as I get notes, the other panelists are going to come on. We're going to
BB's in the house.
Brett Voorhees, the president of the Indiana AFL-CIO. Mr. President, welcome. We just introduced Randy Harrison from AFT and John Hooker from IBEW. I want to welcome you too. We're just talking about organized labor. What I asked them to touch on is just, we're in this pandemic and things are just turned upside down for teachers and members of the building trades, and also our municipal employees. David Bride from AFSCME here in Indianapolis is hopping on. David, welcome. And Brett, you're kind
Put
of
the light in front of you, though, bruh. There we go. You have the light behind you. I'm a sister. I get it. You can't have the light behind you, bro. You gotta have it in front of you.
So, guys, we're just tell us about how things are going. We're waiting on results here. Could be a long night, and tell us how things are going in the organized labor world. I was going to start with John, and then we'll just move along however you all want.
Yeah, I can go ahead. So I think you hit it a little bit. For construction, it's been an odd year with the pandemic. We were labeled as essential, so we kind of weathered that storm to begin with, and then we've tried to dodge the pandemic and the virus just like everybody else. But big projects here in central Indiana have continued to go on. Our brothers and sisters up to the north with the steel mills and BP up in Lake County have felt a little more pain. Construction wise, they've shut down some, and some other projects around the state have been hurt by the pandemic, but central Indiana hasn't felt it as much. I think just because we were in a boom and we're still on the tail end of that construction wise. I'll let some of the other brothers speak on what the other trades are dealing with, but from a construction standpoint, it's weird. It's not what signs of a pandemic should say, but we're having a good year with hours worked with our brothers and sisters so far. So I'll let Brett or David or somebody else speak on the other trades, because I know there's a lot of them that are hurting that aren't as fortunate as we've been.
Brett, do you want to go? No, you're muted, Brett. If you could unmute there.
All right, I've got an echo going on. It's hard to tell. Like I still hear John talking right now.
Oh my!
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, I'll wing it. I've got other voices going on at the same time. So see, he's just now saying I'll let Brett or somebody do it. That's how delayed it is. Weird.
Oh yeah, that's being strange.
No, I mean what a year, huh? It's been for all of us. Those of us in organized labor.
Did we lose them?
Well, I think we
just lost them, didn't we?
Okay. Let's keep moving, and maybe Randy, if you could hop on, and I'm sure David or Brett will get back on here. But Randy, tell us about what's going on with teachers and what you're seeing across the state.
First of all, John and Dana, Indiana Democrat Party, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of AFT Indiana. Our educators, as the pandemic took hold of our state last year, basically for most districts, it was after our spring breaks. And on a turn of a dime, our professional educators and support staffs were able to adjust to the best of our ability into a virtual or remote learning product. And then over the summer, we spent numerous hours working in committees with our local boards and superintendents and our colleagues to try to craft reopening plans that would encompass usually three parts: some component of face-to-face instruction for families that wanted it, virtual components for families that weren't comfortable returning to our schools because of the pandemic, and then a full remote program in case we had to be locked out again because of the pandemic. We call them rolling lockouts, because your cases in your schools have spiked and it's forced a change because it's not safe. And managing all those things is a monumental task. But the one thing that we always did in mind, or one thing we always had in mind, was the safety of our students and our staffs first, all of our educators and our support staffs. And then we had to devise the best way to have an educational product. And we know how tough it is for the families at home that are trying to navigate the virtual world and those components, because a lot of our educators are also having to juggle that. So, not a perfect scenario. I would like to see a lot more support in terms of resources that would enable us to promote social distancing better, appropriate PPE for our educators. I mean, the CARES Act, the first CARES Act did do some good for us in that regards, but you know, it only went so far. And the biggest challenge with most of our schools is they're not designed that we can promote social distancing. And unless you have millions and billions of dollars in your budget that you could snap your finger and somehow create space overnight, all of our students and staffs are in jeopardy if we pack them all together into our school buildings. And it's been gut-wrenching for boards, superintendents, and our educators. I do not know any of my colleagues in my school buildings across the state of Indiana that do not want the children in front of us so we can do what we do best, and that's teach. Mm-hmm. But we have to at sometimes take the safety of all those families into consideration. You know, you got to follow the science. Young people get it. People of all ages get it. If it's not fatal to them, it can be fatal to the adult educators, support staffs, and of course, loved ones at home. So navigating a pandemic, as not only being a vice president of AT Indiana, I'm the president of my local at Anderson, 519. And the majority of my day is spent navigating things associated with pandemics. What does COVID leave look like? How many grade levels did we have to shut down because the cases have spiked again? What is our plan moving forward? And one tricky thing is all of our local health departments have different metrics on how we're supposed to reopen safely. And then when you follow the governor's state dashboard, it's totally different. And it almost makes it more impossible to have metrics at that level that promote safety. For example, if I'm not mistaken, even in red severe spread for our elementary age children, they don't recommend a full remote option. In other words, you still have to have the students in our elementary buildings, even if it's a severe spread rate. Which again, if we're really there to promote safety as well as a balanced educational product, those metrics that are ever changing also compound the ability to navigate the pandemic and do what's best for our local school districts.
Yeah. Thank you, Randy. Brett, what are you seeing? You kind of we lost you there for a minute, and then we'll go to David. What are you were trying to say something there, and Randy and John were just talking about kind of the environment out there.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you for having me on here. And Dana, it's always good to see you. That's for sure. So, you know, it's what a year it's been, huh? For all of us. You know, we really didn't know going into the whole election cycle. It's like, okay, well, trying to navigate ourselves through it, and it hasn't been easy. Luckily for us, organized labor's got some pretty damn smart people within our ranks, and we've really put our heads together, and I believe we'll be successful by the end of the night, if not for the night, and maybe the end of the night tomorrow night. But I feel pretty confident what we've done. I mean, going into the election this morning, when the polls opened at 6, over 200,000 union members had already voted. That's just record numbers for us. It's pretty incredible, and that's the work that the AFL and all of its affiliates have been doing. I will say, I got to brag on them a little bit. We've actually made over almost 200,000 phone calls in the last few months. We've sent over 90,000 text messages. We've sent over 70,000 lit drops to doors, and we've done well over 275,000 pieces of mail. So for a pandemic, I think that for considering the fact that we couldn't do much, couldn't knock on doors and have our regular campaigns, I hats off to all my affiliates out there on what they did, because we really put it all out on the table, and I feel pretty confident about going into the victory tonight when all the returns start coming in, picking up some seats in the State House, in the Senate, hopefully Wayne Zappel will be the next Attorney General. I don't know if they've called that yet or not. I know they called the presidency and the governor's race, but and then move on and watch Joe Biden win the nation here, hopefully in the next 48 hours or so.
Thank you, Brett.
I was gonna say to David, one of the things that when I ran in 2016, I went to several different union halls to have conversations with our union brothers and sisters, because I recognize the importance of organized labor. And in 2016, I heard that they wasn't down with us. They wasn't getting down with Democrats. Have we done what it takes as a party to bring our brothers and sisters back to the fold? Do they know that we're about, helping protect collective bargaining and increasing the wages here in the state of Indiana and providing quality health care? Have we done, and this is a critical question. So because as the union goes, as our party goes. So have we done some of the work that we need to do to reconnect with our brothers and sisters?
You take that one, John, being our chair. You want me to go on?
I'll go for it.
I'll jump in with you.
I'll go for it. I think we have. I think, one, the fact that I'm sitting here as a labor caucus chair has gone a long way. Not just me, but the officers of the labor caucus and the officers that came before us have done a good job of trying to bridge that gap of whatever was missing before between labor and the party, speaking up and addressing issues with the chair, with the state central committee, and vice versa, taking that back to our local labor union leaders and saying, hey, we don't have all the answers, but we need you sitting at the table. We all need to get there and sit down and talk about it, and let's move forward. So I think we've made great strides. I don't think, I'll never say we're there, obviously, but I think along Brett's lines, we saw a lot of unity this year amongst the trades in the AFL-CIO working together to get labor-friendly candidates elected, more so than we've seen in a long time. And I think that's a culmination of everybody just starting to come back together in a lot of different ways. And I commend John and his leadership and everybody at the party for, one, putting that labor caucus together, but two, seeing that we need labor at the table and making sure that's important. So I'll let Brett finish.
No, John, you couldn't have said any better. I think things have improved drastically. We still got a lot of work to do, but there's always a lot of work to do in whatever you do. Whenever you're trying to work with so many different people that we work with, like with us, for example, I've got an executive board of 23 board members. So sometimes it's hard to maneuver, but we all can come together and start working together as affiliates, as the trades, as the industrials. And so we do the same thing as with the party. Meanwhile, what we've been doing as organized labor is we've been investing back into our own. Our members have been craving for that. When I say back into our own, we've been investing into our own and running our people for political office, whether it be school board, whether it be governor, whether it be Congress, whatever the case may be. That's what we've been focusing on and working on. Our money, it just doesn't come from corporations and things like most. It comes from our members. Right. And what better to be able to put back into it than to get our members elected to office to make sure that when they are successful in office, they're actually our issues. I got to tell you, when it comes to organized labor, one of the things that we don't agree with a whole lot with any party system is we could really give a shit less about the gun issue. We don't care about the pro-life or right to life or all those wedge issues, really. I mean, we care about making sure that we put dinner on the table for our families. We can retire with dignity, with maybe somewhat of a pension, and move forward. So, we fight for the working families every single day. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of those issues are important to us, but when it comes to fighting for our members, we make sure that they, they're the breadwinners.
David Bryan, what about you? You on mute? There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you, Chairman, for allowing us to be on. And Dana, I mean, it speaks for itself. If you want labor at the table, you have to have what you're doing tonight, so our members can actually see that we're engaged with the party. So I believe that's been a huge turnaround here of late, and we'll just see how the future holds and how it keeps building and keeps growing. As a union member and out here since this pandemic has started, safety has always been our number one, to make sure our members are safe, that they're not infecting their families. Being married to a nurse who has to deal with it every single day and has lost so many people during this pandemic, and just the stress of getting up every morning and having to go to work and not knowing what the outcome of you doing your job is going to be has been one of the most stressful years as a union member. And like I said, married to a nurse who's been in this fight since day one. And it's been a lot of crying nights, a lot of sleepless nights, and we're just gonna keep pushing forward because that's what we do as union folk. We're gonna keep pushing forward. We're gonna find a way to get the job done, and we're gonna speak our mind and our piece about making sure our members are safe during this. We'd like to see leadership step up and have a plan, but at the end of the day, self-preservation always is going to be the plan. So we're going to make sure we're going to come together. We made phone calls when we couldn't get PPE, and we called around, even though it was right here in Marion County. But we won't get on that right now. But we made sure that if our members needed something, we got on the phone, and then I know Big John and Brett and everybody else started making calls and letting people know where they could get whatever shortages that they may have, not just here in Indiana, but all over the country. So it's what we do.
I'm loving to hear that. I'm loving that you guys said that, because again, I was, I was perplexed. I was like, what do we have to do? And everybody knows that I'm crazy about my party, but I'm also not above getting criticized for what we are not doing correctly. And one of the things that I kept asking was, how do I engage with our union brothers and sisters? And I appreciate knowing that we have done the work to try to bridge that gap again, because you talking about putting food on the table and retiring with dignity. That's who we are. You know what I'm saying? That's our party. And granted, you don't care about those other things, and that's fine. But the things that you do care about are at the core of our value system. And so that's why I'm sorry. Did I get on the soapbox for a minute? My bad.
All right. It's all right. We're with you. So, guys, it's been great. We appreciate you guys coming on and sharing some words with us. We know you all have been working hard, and
thank you.
You're at the table because you need to be, and we're proud to have all your friends and colleagues. So we appreciate it really very much for you guys being on with this panel, and we're gonna keep moving here. And
let me know when they need a pep talk. I come to the union hall and give a pep talk now. Yeah, because everybody can't be cool like David Bride. So you know what I'm saying? Let me come be your hype woman at the union hall.
Man, they say I'm Mr. so laid back. They have to check my pulse. They don't.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for what you all do.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Have a good evening.
All right.
Oh, we got to take care of our labor chair, because they make it happen. They make sure that we get, because I'm gonna be honest with you. We need skilled trades. I'm not an electrician and I'm not a plumber. So, as far as I'm concerned, and the other aspect of the education that we didn't really touch on is the importance of skilled trades education, and how we need to, if we're gonna, if you invest in money in private companies that are putting money on Wall Street, then we can invest some money in the skilled trades and some of the apprenticeship programs that these unions have.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's huge. And with the pandemic, it's just been a huge, there's just a lot of things in flux. And as Randy said, teachers that are doing you know, just so much work to try to, you know, keep the kids where they need to be and themselves healthy and our schools open and everything else. So it's been, which is a huge challenge. And Brett sees that from, you know, the diversity at the table with the AFL-CIO. So 100%. So.
Yeah, and it was so scary. You know, when Senator Bray sent the letter out, I've been, you know, a kind of a clown with it and saying, you know, it was his Gestapo extortion letter saying that if you don't open up 100%, we're taking 15% of your school funding. And that when we talk about, you know, leaders, we didn't have elected leaders writing those letters. Those were just elected officials looking out for whatever it was, because it wasn't the health and safety of the students' families, the bus drivers, the cafeteria workers. You know, these guys were literally threatening funding in a year when we need more funding, because you got to buy more paper towels and more sanitizer and more. We've got to change that leadership in that state house to understand that human lives are important. It's not education is just not a daycare center so people can go out and make money for big businesses. And we want big businesses, but that's not what it's for, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm glad we had labor on, because we need them back.
Yeah, definitely. So great guys to be on with us, and we you know, just all over the state, you're just seeing a lot of just people adjusting to what we're going through, and so the federal government's a big deal in that, and we're glad to be joined now by Congressman Andre Carson, who's going to join us. Congressman Carson, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you to each and every one of you. Looks like I just saw my friend Dana Black. I'm talking on my iPhone.
You did,
but but I want to just say thank you to all of the volunteers, all of the candidates. I'm at Marion County's a watch party at the drive-in theater. I went old school, but I wanted to thank you guys for your support, for your contributions to really make this party strong, and to support John's leadership and to support Lauren as she raises money. I think that this is a very critical time. My hope is that Christina Hale wins. Congratulations to Frank Mervan. And I think in order for us to really operate effectively, this election, a takeaway has to be that the American people are no longer satisfied with entertainers and charlatans who call themselves leaders. Americans want real policy objectives met. I think the next administration, even if it's a Trump administration, I'm praying it won't be, we have to deal with a new Green Deal that can get us back to the table, dealing with the Paris Accords, that will raise CAFE standards. Automakers told us 7 years ago, in the next decade, we're going to see vehicles get 50 miles to the gallon. We're at around 30 now. We still have work to do. General Motors just announced that in the next 10 years, their entire fleet will be fully electric. Donald Trump, a president who has a background in development, has yet to sign on to a real public works bill that looks at repaving and reconstructing over 15,000 roads and bridges across the country. And we're talking about an investment in smart roads, where the smarter our vehicles get, the more they can communicate with each other, and the more roads can make it safer for drivers and pedestrians. And we're talking about a job creator. Our proposal was $2 trillion that will create jobs in the next 10 to 15 years. We need a president who's going to work on both sides of the aisle, not have an obsession with attacking celebrities. But I want to thank you all for the hard work you've done for the party, for your vote of confidence in me, for your support for Team Carson, and for us being able to put aside our philosophical differences as a party and come together as a united front, whether we're progressives, moderates, or just good old Democrats, to do what's right on behalf of everyday people, because COVID hasn't discriminated against. I've lost family members because of COVID. When it comes to times like these, we need real leaders. Donald Trump has proven himself to be a wannabe autocrat. He's proven himself to have tyrannical inclinations, but the American people are speaking up, win, lose, or draw, and saying enough is enough. We want a leader who is less flash and more about what's right for our future. So thank you. I love you. I'm about to knock out these nachos. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Congressman, thanks very much. Congratulations. And,
thank you.
Thanks for your leadership.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, my congressman. Y'all let me chop it up with him.
Gotta get back to the show.
I know. I mean, they're hanging out. I ain't mad at them. I'm actually a little jealous. I'm high risk, so I kind of gotta stay in the house. People want to run around and not wear the masks and not believe Dr. Fauci. Chairman, I don't understand how people follow the advice of an orange dude who never studied in medical school but don't want to believe Dr. Fauci. How does that even happen?
It's I don't know.
You said you were not a psychologist.
My 2-year-old son wears a mask every day to school. On, knows not to leave home without it. So, but I mean, I'm glad. Next, we got Robin Shackelford from House District 98 is on. She's also the chair of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus. And Representative Shackelford, welcome. Robin's an old friend of mine. I worked with her my first job out of college at the Indiana Department of Commerce, and watched her rise up in leadership and do a great job for us over at the State House. So welcome, Robin.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Dana. Thank you all for doing this. I just came back from where Carson's at, the Tibbs drive-in. So I'm excited to be online doing this with you guys.
Yep.
Hey, we've been hanging out a lot lately over the last month. Talk about how exciting it's been, knowing that you're going to be returning back to our State House. It's a budget year, and we have so much that we want to get accomplished for Hoosiers.
So I'm extremely excited. I'm excited that I didn't have an opponent this year. I just want to thank everybody, all the volunteers, the party officials, the community leaders, the advocates who made this election monumental. I was out there on the campaign trail today. I saw so many dedicated volunteers, so many people saying, I want to make sure my vote is in. They are wanting to see a change. We definitely need us to continue to move forward. My message today is no matter what comes out, no matter what the results are, we have to move forward. Going into session, we're going to need everybody on deck to help advocate, to continue to work on those things that are positive for our community, like tenants' rights, affordable health care, a quality education, making sure that we're there advocating at the State House.
That's exciting. And you and the Black Caucus have been traveling around our state, talking to communities that are not necessarily in Lake County and in Marion County, and sharing what's going on in the State House. Tell us why the Black Caucus does this. You explained it to me before, but I think it's an interesting concept.
So, yeah, I think it's crucial that we make sure our presence is known in those communities where there's not a Black state representative or a state senator, but you still have a high population of African Americans that live in those cities. So right now, we're only in Marion County and Lake County. We used to have someone in St. Joe. So you still got a high concentration of African Americans in Vanderburgh County and St. Joe County. So Fort Wayne, making sure that we get to connect with them on a one-to-one, and they get to tell us some of their issues and concerns, since they don't have that African-American representative there.
Excellent, excellent. And of course, you're on the ticket with the wonderful Senator Kamala Harris. Talk about the impact. I'm just, we had like maybe 2 dudes on the show so far, and we've had like 100 women in our party, because we are just doing it, and we got sprinkles of all kinds of stuff. Talk about the importance of seeing Senator Kamala Harris on that ticket tonight.
So I will tell you how important it was that I saw her on that ticket. I said I would not support Biden until he got a Black woman as his VP. I said, I don't care which one it was. I was excited it was Kamala, but a Black woman definitely need to be that VP. One of my colleagues just told me the other day, he was like, you Black women are doing it. Y'all are doing it. Y'all know how to talk with white women, white men, broker a deal, sit there and have a conversation. We know how to collaborate and get things done. There's no egos here. We just want to make sure our communities, our kids, everyone is safe, everyone can eat. So that is our main goal, that the state is healthy overall and the country is healthy and safe overall.
Absolutely, because we care about everybody. You know, it ain't just about our communities. We want to take care of all of our communities. And when you're used to being the minority anyway, you have no other choice to know how to but to collaborate with everybody else.
Exactly.
So we are excited about you going back to the State House. It's a budget year. We know you got a lot going on. Congratulations. You know to holler at me if you need me.
Yes, I will be back on your show soon, Dana.
All right.
Have a great one.
Thank you, John. Thanks,
Thank
my
you.
former coworker.
Yeah.
See you all later.
All right. Dana, I know you're going to take a break here in a minute, and while you're doing that, we'll bring on Senator Eddie Melton.
I gotta say hi to him before I leave.
That's fine. So I think he's coming on. I think for you.
I had to say hi before I left. Congratulations on all the work that you're doing, and I'm gonna see you soon because I want to hear from you during the session about this budget because we got some stuff. So I'll holler at you in a little bit.
All right, Dana. Thanks a lot, Senator. Welcome. How's it going?
Well, can you hear me? You got me, John? Looks like we lost John there for a second. I guess I'm the host. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is State Senator Eddie Melton here representing District 3 in Northwest Indiana. It is an extreme honor and pleasure to be with you tonight. I know we're still awaiting a lot of the election results. So I'm waiting with anticipation, just like many of you as well. One of the things I just wanted to share very quickly is, number one, I wanted to thank every single Democrat out there. I want to thank every single volunteer and every person that worked the polls and throughout this entire process. We're still facing a pandemic, and it's very clear that we're still battling with COVID-19, not just in Indiana, but across the nation, as numbers are still skyrocketing. But just like in true Hoosier fashion, I've stuck very in terms of making sure that voters' rights are protected. And right now, as we wait for the numbers to come in, I want to just say thank you to everyone that helped to reelect me in the 3rd District here in Indiana as state senator. And also I want to thank all those new friends that I built across the entire state in my run for governor. And thank you all so much. I will never forget you. And I am extremely humbled and honored to be a Hoosier Democrat. I see we got John back on the line. What's up, John?
Good speech. I was listening. I heard
you.
No,
we appreciate it. Just to kind of piggyback off Representative Shackelford, we're approaching the 2021 legislative session, and this probably will be one of the most important sessions, definitely in my Senate lifetime, in the legislature, as we go to pertaining to COVID-19. Because there's going to be so many things tied to that, and impact of state budget, ensuring that school funding is not tampered with. As we already have seen, there have been threats on that, even in the midst of a pandemic. But also looking for racial equity and support for reform in criminal justice and policing that we've seen across the nation at the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. So there are so many things that we need to address, on top of making sure that hazard pay for all of our workers that have worked at the peak and the height of COVID-19, they should be compensated fairly and adequately for putting their lives on the line to ensure that we as a state continue to function and to run at the height of that pandemic. So 2021 in the legislative session is going to be a very next year. And we need you all. We need every single person to pay attention to what's going on in the State House, to be engaged in the process. And as we sit tonight, and we hope that we pick up more seats in the Indiana Senate and pick up more seats in the State House, we need you all to be hands on deck this next session. So I want to thank you for your leadership, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank all the participants on tonight's panel, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Senator. Thanks for all you do over there. I know you've had a big year, and 2020's thrown so many curveballs that we're all just sort of just sticking together. Although it's not in person, it's virtual. So we appreciate everything you do and appreciate you being on tonight. Thanks so much for coming on for a while.
Oh, thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good one. Next, we're going to bring on State Representative Greg Porter, I believe. If Representative Porter's on here in Indianapolis, we may have a couple other members on as well. So, hey, Representative, how are you?
I'm doing great today. How are you, Mr. Chairman?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, it's been a busy year. We were, we had, I know when I think of you, I always think of Ways and Means and education, and just tell us what your thoughts are here with education moving forward and the states. You're a strong voice on fiscal matters, and tell us what you think coming into the session next year. You've been such a leader on those issues for a long time, and we're going to bring on Representative Summers here as well, if that's all right, while you're talking. But if you could just tell us a little bit about that, that'd be great. Hey, Representative Summers.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, as it was said earlier, this is a crucial time. I've been on Ways and Means about 8 years now, and I think it's a time for us as we begin to move the state house into a better arena for it to be more inclusive of everyone. This is going to be very important in regards to the budget. We studied the budget so much. We studied about full-day kindergarten for so many years. It's time to make things happen. We talked about teacher pay for 2 years now. It's time to make it happen. So as we begin to build that 35, maybe $36 billion budget over the next, over the next 2 years, we need to make sure that we take care of the human infrastructure here in the state of Indiana. As was said earlier, essential workers are very important, and they're essential. They're on the front line. They shouldn't be making $7.50 an hour. They should be having livable wages that come their way. So, but we can't do it. We can't get to that point where we are in the House or the Senate without the volunteers that have been totally change agents when it's come to us moving the numbers in the right direction. Democrats are trending in the right direction, Mr. Chairman, and we really appreciate that.
That's awesome. We appreciate you. Thank you, Representative Porter. Representative Summers, welcome. How are you? Oh, I think you're muted there, Representative. And maybe click that.
No.
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Good evening.
How are you?
Oh, I'm ready for this to be over.
It's been a long day. It's been a long year.
Yes, it's been a long year.
Well, Representative Porter was just telling us about kind of the state of things and, the pandemic and education and fiscal decisions and everything else coming into next session. I know you've got some perspective on that as well, just from your time in the State House.
Well, my time at the State House in 2021 will be focused on maternal mortality. We know that in Indiana, 53 out of 100,000 African-American women died just by having babies. And we want to be able to address that issue. Also dealing with kinship care. We have a lot of grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, taking care of children that were almost in the system. And there is no mechanism to help those people. So trying to put a mechanism in place that would help those people that take care of children that are their kin or near kin. They get no help legally. They get no financial help unless they are definitely in the foster care system. We need to have a system in place for those people that take these children in and give them a loving home. And we have grandparents on fixed incomes that are trying to make sure that kids get everything that they need. And it's just not equitable at this point. So we're working on that.
Yeah.
We don't have a couple of things in our social justice platform that I'll be working on.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think you've been a consistent voice on those things, as have Democrats. And I think we've just got to keep that effort up when we talk about maternal mortality and it's not moving in the right direction fast enough. And it's just the redirection of priorities in this state are important. And I know you guys are strong voices for that. And I appreciate you both being on tonight. Look forward to having you back in the State House next session in 2021.
And we're also looking at the races at the State House to see if we can at least get close to being able to break a quorum.
Yep, exactly. So we're still
looking at those races on Representative Tour and Speaker Hudson, Houston, to see what's going on with those. And I think there was one in the Senate. So
up on the north
hoping
side.
for those races.
Yep, up on the north side and the south side, and up in northern Indiana. So we appreciate everything you guys do. I think we're gonna have Sheriff Pryor come on after you guys hop off, and we're gonna keep moving and wait on these results. We don't know when they're gonna come in nationally, and we'll just we'll have a late night. I think it's been a long day, and we'll have a late night. So thank you both for being on very much.
Thank you.
Alrighty. See ya. We have Representative Pryor on with us, Zoe. I think she's going to be on in a minute, but well, programming break here while we. There she is. Hi, Representative Pryor.
Hi, how are y'all? Let me see. Okay.
I'm good. Are you at Tibbs?
Yes, I'm at Tibbs where Senator Bro was. So,
and Congressman Carson too.
Trying to, you know what? Maybe this might work a little bit better if I just turn it this way.
Oh, you're good.
You can see me a little bit. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, that's perfect
there you
right
go.
there.
There you go.
Yeah, right there's good.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah.
Well, how's it going out there? Are you having fun?
Well, you know, we're kind of sitting in our cars, watching the TV, trying to get an idea of who's going to win, watching the results come in. So, you know, yeah. And waiting for the races to be called in the house as well.
Yeah,
so
I know. Well, we've got one. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's been a long day. A long day.
Yeah, it has. I know you've probably been up all hours. And Representative Carolyn Jackson's on. If it's okay, I'll bring her on real quick. And
it'd be great to see Carolyn.
See what's going on in Northwest Indiana. So, hi, Representative. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Good. Representative Pryor's on with us. And
hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Cherish.
Hey.
Good to see you.
You too.
How's everything going up your way?
Everything is looking good.
Yeah, good.
Yes, looks like we have retained all of the seats up here that we had, so that's a good thing. The race is still a little close, but we're gonna declare that that's all right because we still gonna win it. 1 vote, 2 votes, we'll take it.
Good. Well, you both have been, you're both going to be returning to the State House, luckily, because we enjoy working with both of you in a political capacity. And you're going to both be back as legislators.
Thank you.
Here in the 2021 session, we just had Representative Summers and Representative Porter on talking about education and where we are with finances. One thing, you know, Representative Pryor, you represent Indianapolis. Representative Jackson, you represent Hammond. Different parts of the state, but a lot of the same issues out there, and with public education and the virus, and you know, we're doing this tonight virtually, but we are able to get people from all over the state on, which has been really good for us to just feature people from around the state that we wouldn't normally be able to see, and so it's been really good to do that. And so, what do you learn from people that are representing different parts of the state? What do you all learn from each other, you think?
You know what? I have learned that regardless of what part of the state you're in, most likely you have the same issues in your town. It's just at a different location, be it the northern part or the south. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. There are a lot of similarities, and then there are some differences. You know, particularly with the urban and the rural communities as well. So I think just really having an open mind and understanding that there are some things that the rural community deals with that we may not be dealing with in the urban community. And so I think the urban community generally sometimes might have, independent on the party, because most of the people in the rural community that represent us at the State House are Republicans. I think that the Democrats tend to be more open and understanding to some of those rural challenges. than sometimes some of the rural people are to the urban challenges because it's Democrat and Republican.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's it's been interesting since the Republicans sort of took the majority and represent a lot of the rural areas now. It's been interesting to see the shift in priorities. That's, when I started working in rural Indiana, and it was, the priorities shifted. You see less funding for community projects now, and it's, I think communities have really suffered under Republican leadership. And so hopefully we're going to see a turnaround in that in the coming years. But what do you think about this election? What have you seen? With just about a minute to go here with both of you, what have you seen? What are the biggest things you've seen from this election that you would take away? You're going to take away. I know we don't have any results yet, really, but what are you going to take away from this election?
I would say it's been a kind of scary election to me, and it's kind of concerning. I think this election has, unfortunately, and maybe fortunately also, exposed how divided the country is racially, and that has been disheartening to know that. But it's also, I think, you can't solve a problem unless you know what the problem is. So now that we know that we still have a undercurrent problem, I think it's really up to us to try to address that problem and resolve it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think this election has brought a lot of that out. I think a lot of it probably was already there, but it just came out as a result of this election, and it's very saddening. It just really is. But hopefully, after the election is over, we can mend things and we can work together and get things done.
Yeah. Let's hope. We're still waiting on these results, but we're hoping for a good night. And I appreciate both of you being on. I appreciate your leadership and your friendship. I just enjoy both of you a lot. So, Representative Cherish Pryor from Indianapolis, Representative Carolyn Jackson from Hammond. Thanks so much for being on tonight.
Thank you so much, John. You take care.
Yeah, and I think this was
Oh, we lost her.
Okay. Well, you have a good evening.
All right, you too, Representative. Thanks. All right, everybody. I think we're going to take a little break here, and then we'll be back on shortly in about 3 or 4 minutes. So hang tight here and stick with us. Thanks a lot. I think we're going to be joined back by Dana Bla here shortly. But I think now we're going to turn shortly to Linda Lawson, our candidate for Lieutenant Governor. Representative Lawson, along with Dr. Woody Myers, has been traveling the state since June. Dynamic individual, served 20 years in the General Assembly, and we're certainly proud of the work that she and Dr. Myers have put into this campaign. And so, Zody, we have Representative Lawson on yet? I see Dr. Myers and Mrs. Myers, so we can turn it over to them. If I'm going straight to you, Dr. Myers and Stacy, welcome. Let me turn it over to you, I think.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. I'd like to start my brief remarks tonight by thanking a couple of people. The people I'd like to thank primarily are Woodrow Sr. and Charlotte Elnora Tyler, my mom and dad, who I hope are looking down tonight and are proud of the son who together they made. My father was a landscape contractor and a small businessman, but he really had wanted to become a physician, but he didn't have the opportunities that he helped to create for me. My mother was a warrior, cleverly disguised as an Indianapolis public school teacher, and was responsible for implementation of IPS desegregation in the 1970s. They were great parents, and they raised me in the Martindale-Brightwood area of Indianapolis, where today some of the most difficult challenges we face as a state are ever present. They raised me to think, but they allowed me to dream. And they did their best to protect me from what they knew was the most devastating force society has created, that of racial injustice. They took care of my needs, and they allowed me and encouraged me to grow. It's because of them I could leave Indiana and attend Stanford and Harvard and become a physician and an executive. And it's because of them and my upbringing I decided to become health commissioner and to work to correct the evils that I saw in how people were treated and how decisions were made. About 2 years ago, when this journey began, I knew it was a long shot and that the battle was entirely uphill. But that did not deter me. After securing support and encouragement from my bride to begin the journey that has ended tonight. I just spoke with Governor Eric Holcomb and congratulated him on his victory. I ran because I knew we could be better and that we could do more for those who have so little and more for those who need so much. I announced my candidacy before we'd ever heard of COVID-19 and before we'd ever seen the murder of George Floyd. And both intensified my desire to offer an alternative to the status quo for all Hoosiers. There are many to thank, those on my team, those who supported our campaign, and those who tweeted, retweeted, called, texted, and carried our messages forward to all who would listen. To our 5 children working or in school in 5 different states, we'll need now to figure out how to do a virtual Thanksgiving dinner together. And to my 2 grandchildren who have grown at least a foot taller in the last 15 months, GDAD will be coming out to visit soon. One final thought before I ask my friend Linda Lawson to speak with you tonight. We have seen an unprecedented turnout nationwide in the last 30 days, despite 4 to 6 hour lines. And that must be nurtured, not further suppressed or ignored. Voting, like breathing, should be easy, not hard. It's way past time for that and so much else to change. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. Linda.
Well, I have to honestly tell you the very first person I need to thank is Dr. Woody Myers for giving me the opportunity to spend the last 6 months going from one end of the state to the other, meeting some of the finest people I have ever met in my entire life. Little tiny places like Winchester, Indiana, to Evansville, Indiana, to those places where I didn't think that I would ever go or ever see. I'm telling you, we've got a great Hoosier land. This is a place that we need to be proud of, that we need to work for every day. And I'm going to tell you something else. Without sounding a little critical, you're losing out. The best team was here. The best team by far was Dr. Woody Myers and Linda Lawson. forward. We're going to move forward, but we're never going to stop trying. We're never going to stop supporting, and we're never going to stop being Hoosiers. So after that, and after a conversation to myself about moving on, I'm going to say to you from the bottom of my heart, I am proud to be a Hoosier, but most importantly, I am proud of the staff, the young men and the young women who have served with us for 12 months, 11 months, 6 months. Those young men and women who have put their necks out there, who have worked tirelessly for this team. I love you with all my heart. You are by far the future of the state of Indiana. God bless you. God bless the state of Indiana.
Thank you, Dr. Myers and Linda Lawson, Representative Linda Lawson. Tough speech for them tonight, and certainly want to commend all their work they did. This was a tough race going in, but did what he needed to do and called Governor Holcomb there. And so we just want to thank both of them for their work. Not a candidate with a better profile to run for governor during a global pandemic than Dr. Woody Myers, and Representative Linda Lawson, certainly a champion for so many of us. So we want to turn now to our Young Democrats. Young Democrats have been very active in the last couple of years. They hosted their national convention last year, and just got a great group of leaders. I was on with Ariel Brandy and James Wells just about a month ago for the vice presidential debate, and we had a good time on this platform talking about the races. And I want to bring on Ariel Brandy, our president of the Indiana Young Democrats, James Wells, the vice president of the Young Democrats. Chris Roman, I think your executive director, is on as well. Dana should be joining us back here shortly. But hi, guys. Good evening. We're all kind of awaiting results. I haven't been able to see too much, but just here and there. And I know we're still waiting a lot nationally and a lot to come in from Indiana. So what are you hearing out there, and how are you feeling? You guys have put in a lot of work, making calls and doing texts, just like a lot of other volunteers across the state. And you've all got lives in addition to that with kids and jobs and everything else. So tell us how it's going.
Yeah, so I mean, today was a good day for Young Dems. We were very busy all across the state. A lot of our folks were either working the polls as poll workers. As also want to give a shout out to Matthew Kochevar, who was our national committee man, but also serves on our Indiana election division as counsel. And he has been great in leadership, and we want to shout him out. Listening to Dr. Myers and Linda Lawson speak also wants me to say congratulations to all of the Young Dems that worked on their campaign. They had a team of young people that put in so much work across the state, and I really want to shout out those folks. We got Jess McPherson from College Dems, Alessia, Brandon Evans, our own campaigns director, so many young people that are a part of so many of these campaigns across the state. Regardless of outcomes, even though we don't know results, we know that young people were the force behind a lot of these campaigns across the state. And I'm just proud to know them, know that they're a part of our organization, and that they're out here doing the work.
Thanks, Ariel. James or Chris, and welcome back, Dana.
Hey, Young gets it done.
Jeremy.
I came back in time for my group. I mean, if I was young.
Young got heart love.
Yeah. To add on to what Madam President has said, I would say, just thinking back on the past 4 years when the Young Dems of Indiana really just harnessed this energy, this charisma, this enthusiasm to want to make a difference, to want to be on the forefront of change, to want to do something about the result of 2016. It has led us to a journey that we never thought we would be on, to making close friendships. And I'm saying this because I want to humanize this experience for all of us, because for many of us across the state, this has been an incredible journey like none other, from hosting the Young Dems of America National Convention in Indianapolis last summer, to having over 41 candidates last year in the municipal elections win their own race for office. It has been an incredible win or lose. It's just been incredible across the board. And it really shows that there is the energy, charisma, the passion, the drive to want to make a difference here in Indiana.
Yeah, and just to add on to what James is saying, I mean, if we look at this year, we endorsed almost 60 candidates up and down the ballot as an organization. And it's 100% true when we say Young gets it done. And I'm so happy to have, I think, about 27 or 28 different young Democrats running from city council to treasurer and or county treasurer up to state senate. And so we are incredibly proud of all the work we've done, and we're just excited to see it pay it off this year.
Yeah.
And I'm poaching everybody to the Stonewall board. That's all I'm doing. I just want you to know, Ariel, I'm poaching them all.
Yes, and we love that. We've seen so many of our young Dems step into leadership, not only on the state central committee, but also within their own local party leadership, and also too in some of these caucus leadership roles. You look at Stonewall, majority of the board is young Dems. You look at Latino Caucus, it's led by Elise Schrock, a young Dem. You look at our board, young Dems, obviously, and you just keep going through IDAC and you see young Dems. And so it's not just the future of the party, it's the now of the party. And we're happy to be here and to be doing this work alongside IDP to kind of set the tone for the next couple of years. Because we're going to be gearing up for 21 and we're already thinking about 22. And so just getting prepared for that and having the groundwork already laid to be able to get the work done will just make it easier for us as a party.
Yeah. And I would add, if you thought you saw something the past 3 or 4 years, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, that's exciting. Y'all gonna keep me young for a long time. And I gotta tell you, I gotta thank y'all for inviting me. Y'all was mean for putting me on after the Speaker of the House, but that was one of the thrills of a lifetime to get to address the Young Dems convention last year. I mean, woo, that was amazing. Thank you.
You brought down the house. Everybody loved you. Everybody is still talking about Dana Bla to this day.
Well, it's your fault, Ariel. Because I asked you, you were sitting right there. I said, well, what do you want me to do, Ariel? You said, burn it down. I said, okay.
Speaking of your convention, you brought all kinds of folks to Indianapolis, big crowd here. And that sort of, I mean, I think a lot of people got involved, and there were a lot of, obviously, it's been a strong organization for a long time, but have you seen a lot of new people get involved this year? You talked about the 60 candidates you endorsed, which weren't all young Democrats, but a lot of them were. Chris, you mentioned. And so tell us what they should be doing next. We're waiting a lot of election results yet, but what's sort of next in store for them? We know elections next year, but it's the quote unquote party building year. And so what's in store for folks next year that have just gotten involved this year?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously our focus for next year is going to be reorg. We want to see more of our young people step into party leadership roles. We know that in certain places across the state, there are vacancies in some of these county party boards. If we have young people that are doing the work and are active in their party, why are we not asking them to be a part of the conversation within their own local county Democratic parties? So we want to be able to equip our young people to step into those roles, understand the rules as we do, and get them to participate in that way. But over the next couple of days, I know we're going to be tracking our races and making sure that our young Dems are supported as they step into leadership, if they do win their races. And even if they don't win, we have a process in which we bring them into the fold and we get them into leadership roles within our own organization, which is important because we don't want to leave folks behind, win or lose. We want to still make sure that they're a part of our party process. And so I think that's the biggest focus for us over the next couple of days. And then going into 21 is really getting young people to understand how important reorg is for us for the next 4 years.
Right.
So what is your training when you're bringing all these new young people in who probably don't have a whole lot of experience when it comes to the political process? Because you and I talk about political processes. How are you guys training these young folk?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of the things that I know Chris, James, and I do is that we try to have one-on-ones with folks that are looking to join our organization. We're welcoming them when they're signing up to become a member. We're connecting them to their district chair, to their county leadership, to know that there are other folks that they can connect with in the process. We're inviting them to our meetings, and we're keeping them in the loop of what we have going on. But we're also asking folks in their area, like, have you seen this young person do something amazing? How can we utilize them in leadership? Like, we don't just want to have bodies. We want to be able to help empower young people to step into leadership. We've expanded our executive committee to I think we have over 25 folks on our executive committee.
How do you
And to
corral all that?
and to add to that, we're also back in March when we updated our bylaws and instituted a new set of governing documents. We, for the first time in a long time, said we want to have constituency caucuses of our own to provide space for diversity and inclusivity in our organization, whether it be Black, Hispanic, LGBTQ, environmental, faith-based, labor, women. We want to make sure that we are providing a space and the groundwork for young Democrats in Indiana to participate in the political process and be prepared as a whole when it comes to the state party as well, because we recognize our role as importance when it comes to preparing young Democrats to step up and, as we say, grow the bench.
Well, John, I think we can. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris.
Oh, I was just going to add on to that. We know very well that we have the talent within our organization. I mean, we see it with Brandon Evans and Elise Schrock working on the comm side of things, and other individuals like Matthew Kochever across the state who is focused on elections and knows every single little detail that we need to know. And so we have all
we have
members.
Amy Schwartz, who's running our finance.
Greg Powers, who's knows everything about diversity and inclusion and has trained our members, and we hope he can train us again and continue to train us on the importance of that and continue to bring that into the fold, because we know how important that is. So the talent is here, and we just got to keep on tapping it and developing the members that we have currently.
And even outside the exec board, like when you look at like Monroe County and Allen County, we have young Dems stepping up, starting chapters of their own to provide that space for young Democrats in the state who want to participate in the process and who want to be engaged and who want to do something at its basic core.
Boone County Young Dems, Monroe County Young Dems.
What I'm hearing is that me and Jay-Z can go into early retirement and y'all can just go ahead and take over all of this. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, if you want to, we can.
I ain't going nowhere. Y'all gonna be trying to kick me out, and I'm 95.
No, we love y'all. We learned so much from you guys, but we honestly just want to be able to build this bench to where it's easier for young people to feel included in the process and that they feel as if they belong as a part of this party. And so that it's easier. So when we're getting into these races, we're not trying to scramble to get these caucuses built. They're already there. They're already sustainable. They already have membership. And they're ready to go when we have these races. And we can say, we do have young Dems in Allen County. This is the district chair. Talk to Laudo. He'll connect you with the Latino community over there. He'll also connect you with the activist community because his vice chair is heavily involved in the BLM movement. So it's just being able to have those kinds of areas of the state covered to where the organizing isn't as hard. And we already have that bench already built.
Yeah. And we're confident we could get a young Dem elected statewide, and that is our goal.
Yeah.
And with the amazing people we have in our organization, I think we can get it done.
I think you can get it done too.
And I would add on a personal note, like being from Gary, Indiana, and being like kind of closed off from the rest of the state, having been involved with the Indiana Young Democrats, I have grown to love my state even more than what I did before because of the connections and relationships you build in this organization. We have become, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris and Ariel, but like we've become a family over this past 3 years.
And that's what we have to be, right? Because we got to
Yeah,
lean on each other and support each other. And I feel what you're saying, James, because I didn't understand the different communities either until you get out and start connecting, and you connect with our guy down in Evansville, the president of the council down there. I'm having a brain.
Alex Burden, shout out.
Thank you. And then you go over to Fort Wayne and to West Lafayette, and you create these relationships with these amazing individuals. I think you guys are doing amazing things. I sent you guys a text early today because y'all just was like, y'all was knocking it out the box. And I'm just so proud of like be in y'all's groupie camp.
And you know, we would be remiss if we didn't thank you, Chairman Zody, and everyone else before us who have encouraged us, who have been supportive of us, who have been there through thick and thin.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, just encouraging young folks to be involved in the political process. And I think oftentimes as young people in politics, we don't get that enough. We don't get the support. We don't get the encouragement or the enthusiasm. We are often told, wait our time, wait until the time is right. But I would honestly say with Chairman Zody, Indiana's own Dana Bla, you have honestly, like, I'm about to get teary-eyed because after a year of like holding in emotion, actually 4 years of holding in emotion, it's been a whirlwind. But like honestly, it has been the ride of a lifetime, and I can honestly say I would not have it any other way.
Well, it ain't over because we gotta see.
I was gonna say we got a lot of votes to still count.
And you know what? I'm looking forward to it.
Let me say, you guys have built, you know, a really sustainable organization, I should say. And, you know, you brought Chris on and, you know, it's just kind of cooking. And I think that's great. And this organization being the party, has to adapt and continue to open up. And that's one thing that the last 4 years have taught us, especially that we've got to find constant avenues for people to get involved. And that's been, I know, you know, Dana's big focus since she came on, and just what we got to do, because, you know, Dana and I are going to be.
And it's so nice to see so many of our young Dem candidates or elected officials really prospering. Think about how many ran in 2019 that now had to govern in the middle of a pandemic. And a lot of those have been the ones that have been at the forefront. You look at Keith Potts, you look at JD, you look at Ty Atkins, you look at Alex Burton, you look at all of the folks across the state of Indiana who got elected in 2019, Grace Kessler, who had to step into leadership in the middle of a pandemic for their very first time as elected officials. And they have been killing it in their different areas of the state. And I mean, you know, it comes from the leadership and the foundation that we're building at IYD. And we want to be able to welcome in everybody, whether you're somebody who's sat on the fence before and didn't know whether or not you should belong to a party. If you're an activist and you feel like you're just going into an echo chamber, or you're a strong Dem and you just want to align with some other folks that align with you, like, we want to be able to pull everybody in and make it stronger.
I like your drinking liberally events. I try to make those as often as I can.
I know.
I can't wait to come back in person for that.
I know, right?
Right now, we'll just have to do with my live DJing.
Look, we're going to have to like deal with my Apple whiskey, Jack Daniels I got for tonight.
Our drag shows that we do with Stonewall. Those
Come on now.
Yeah, and you know what? To add on to Madam President, is about expanding and being inclusive, and I think that goes to the point and the heart of what Madam President and I kind of ran on and spoke about when it came to when we were going to take office. We want to make sure IYD is inclusive as much as possible, and that means having hard conversations. That means having getting through the tough and rumble. It means being able to do what needs to be done and having courage to do so.
I think that also speaks to and y'all can forgive me if I'm off base here, but I think it also speaks to Chairman Zody's leadership style. He doesn't put us into a box and say, I want you to do this way. He allowed you guys, because when we came on, we didn't know what the deputy chair of engagement was going to do. We'll just figure it out as we go. And that's what's happening with IYD. He didn't put you, or none of the leadership on the Central Committee put you guys in a box and said you have to do it this way. You got to use your fresh ideas and your new way of seeing the world to cultivate that thing for your constituency, your caucus.
Yeah. And I think 2019, when we brought the national convention to Indianapolis, nobody thought that that would have happened. We won that bid. And then we were like, all right, let's go ahead and put on a show because folks think that Democrats don't exist in Indiana. And then we had people like Kristen James and Heather Sager, who's now on with Sherry Bustos, who we love so much, who ran the comms on that and pushed it to get us to where we are. And then you had Heather and I who were running programming and speakers and trying to get everybody that we could, you know.
Keith Potts, who ran the whole entire thing day of.
Did he really?
Yeah, like he was running behind the scenes, yes. While also campaigning for his city county council seat in Indianapolis.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Keith Potts ran the show like he does theater all of the time, and that's why it came to life so well that it did.
And we can't forget the amazing Catherine Chi too, with that hand in hand.
And Catherine Chi, the work that she's doing right now with the AAPPI community in the
city of
Indiana, like she is killing it right now.
Yes.
Shout out to her, because if that community comes out this election cycle, I know it was because she did the organizing and really pushed towards getting those voices heard. And so it's us empowering those people to, if you have an idea, go with it. We'll support you. Do whatever.
Yeah, and that's another caucus right there.
Yes, absolutely.
That's another caucus. So, okay, you guys kind of mentioned, you know, after the election, after the votes are tallied, have you guys already kind of outlined the agenda for the gap year? Because it ain't an off year. We got work to do.
So we will give our executive committee a breather.
What?
Very brief. It'll be like and then it'll be time to go again.
Oh yeah, we're ready to like get to work, but like we understand like take a mental break,
mental health.
Take at least a week or 3 weeks.
Yes.
But yeah, like yeah.
We want to get.
I would say yeah. In Indiana, I would say we have good stock. They say there's more than corn in Indiana, but I would say we have good stock when it comes to the Indiana Young Dems.
We're definitely going to hit the ground running in 2021. In the past, with the great Heather Sager, we did a strategic plan and talked about our goals and plotted them out. So imagine a 2.0 of that, and we're going to get it done.
Yeah, we'll take a brief break, but then we're already going to be prepared for this off gap year to really start doing some work. And like I said, we're already thinking about 22. And where we can plug in as young people, and whatever we can do to support state party and making sure we have good quality candidates that we know are hungry and eager and want to get the work done. There are some young Dems right now that are elected that I've been looking at to run for higher office. So
that's what's up.
You know what? It's all about making our communities better. It's about improving our communities. It's about, as my philosophy is, all politics is local.
Yep.
If we can take care of our neighbors, if we can take care of the people we care about, if we can take care of the people we say that we love and we hold dear to our heart, then the sky is the limit when it comes to the young Democrats.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in awe of you guys. Chris Roman will tell you, I've been eyeing him since I went to go visit him at Wabash.
Yeah, good old.
Yeah, and Ariel's been knocking it out of the park. I met her. We parking lot pimping. That's how we met. So you guys are an inspiration to me. And I know John is to have such good energy coming up. To pull up when we're on to something else. And so now I'm gonna put y'all all on the spot. Which one of y'all gonna run for office?
You know what? I go first. I'm gonna go first. Like I would say that my hometown, Gary, Indiana, has always had a special spot in my heart. It's been the guiding force behind my major in college as an undergrad. It's been my guiding force as a graduate student studying urban planning and regional development. So Gary, for me, Gary just better be on the lookout and be ready.
Okay. Who else?
I mean, I get approached often. I know me and Dana have had several conversations where she has pushed me, nudged me, like a lot of people across the state. So it is not something that is not at the forefront of my mind. But for me, I know that it has to be right. It has to feel right. And if I'm going to run, I'm going to win. And I want to make sure that I have a good team around me and the support needed. And also, I need a great chief of staff, and Chris Roman is out here killing the game right now. So whether he decides
Shout out to my partner in crime, Chris Roman.
Really,
yes,
the driving force behind so many different caucuses. People don't even understand. Chris Roman runs not only IYD, Latino Caucus, Stonewall. Like this man is literally got his hands in everything across the state, and it's so phenomenal to see. So we need to be figuring out what he's doing next too.
Well, whatever he wants, we are definitely Team CR. I'm
yeah.
in.
So what you doing, Chris?
What you doing,
what's
Chris?
your plan?
I think running is definitely in the long run, but I feel like right now I'm definitely in the mood to support a hella great young Democrats up and down the ballot and other Democrats in general get elected here in Indiana. I know that we can make change here, and so I'm just excited to support them in any way I can with all the skills and knowledge that I might have.
Yes.
So definitely, like Ariel said, you know, it's not at the forefront of my mind, but definitely in the future for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm here, you know me, to be your hype woman. I'll be your Flavor Flav, you know me.
Love to hear it, and we love to see it.
Yeah. Well, guys, we think you guys have been great this whole cycle, and we appreciate everything you're doing. And you've got such a broad range of perspective. You know, just with the work that you do, and Ariel, you being on the presidential, and just everything you're doing here has been really phenomenal this cycle. So we appreciate it very much. Appreciate you being on with us.
Thank you.
Tonight. And Dana and I you helped to give us a little energy boost here in our third hour.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
So,
I can go all night because we talking about politics, baby. I can do this all night.
You know where the party is at when it comes to the young Dems. So
Yes.
And you heard
we care about this state, and we just want to see good things happen, and we know that we can help get it done. So whatever we can do to be of support to state party or any of the caucuses, like we're here to do that. And I'm excited to serve in leadership.
Yeah. All right, thanks IYD. Done.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good night.
You too.
Woo. You ready, Jay-Z? You ready?
We got next up's Ryan Hatfield from House District 77 in Evansville. Representative Hatfield, are you on? I think he is.
I love the dirty.
Oh, I think he jumped off for a minute. So.
Oh, okay. So we have Frank Mervan coming on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we got Carrie.
Yeah, we're not too. Yeah, we'll have Frank in about 10 minutes. We got State Representative Carrie Hamilton on.
Carrie, District 87. What's up?
Are you on, Carrie?
See me?
Hey. Oh.
I'm here.
They're teasing us.
Your camera's rolling there, Representative.
It's on my end.
It's on?
Yep.
All right. Well, we can hear you just fine. So it's a camera issue. Well, it's maybe hold for just a second, but we can hear you just fine. Thanks for being on.
Well, while we're waiting, I can just go ahead and say how great Carrie Hamilton is. And she's been working her tail off in District 87, representing and putting it down. I tell you what, you're inspiring people on that north side of Indianapolis.
Well, thanks, Dana. And before I say anything else, I just want to say I am your groupie. We were talking about groupies earlier. I am your groupie. John, you're great, but I am a Dana Bla groupie. So
that's all right. I'll take it.
This is Team DJ tonight. Team DJ.
That's right. So what were you seeing in Indianapolis today, Representative? I know, it was the long lines for early voting, and what were you seeing out and about today?
Yeah, so today it was a steady flow of voters. Long lines in the morning, kind of slowed down, but still people showing up to the very end. I want to just take a minute to thank everyone that helped me. My husband was my driver for part of the day today, and my boys were out at one of the polling places, doing that grassroots campaign for me, and tons of great volunteers and friends helping me out, and everyone who helped, small and large, over the last few months. I really just want to thank them. And I also, John, before we dig into other stuff, want to take a minute to recognize all of our amazing candidates across the state, especially the state House candidates and also Senate candidates. Mm-hmm. Woo, yeah, I'm clapping my hands too, Dana. I mean, seriously, we had like the top-notch folks up and down the ticket, many running for seats that they knew would be an uphill battle, but they just ran great races. Hopefully we're going to see some of those seats flip, but regardless, I just want to, big shout out, gratitude and respect for all of those folks. It is hard work, and these smart, good Democrats are helping rebuild our party across Indiana. So I just had to get that out there.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. It's never too many times to be saying that.
And you're one of them, right? I mean, I got to hit you up with a policy question or a next session question. It's budget year. And this is the long session. So talk about some of the things that you have on your plate moving forward into 2021 and 2022.
Well, I heard a little bit of Greg Porter talk earlier, his talk, and he had on some key things. We, for many years now, we have been seeing a rise in working families struggling, and COVID has increased that the number of Hoosiers who are just really having a hard time just getting by. And there's some basic policy in Indiana that needs to change. There was some data that came out of Ball State this past week, or was shared, that showed Indiana over the past 8 years or so, in the last decade, put $5 billion towards corporate tax credits. So we gave away $5 billion to corporations, more than $5 billion, and had a net increase in education funding of $17 million. But if you take it out, the $1 billion we've given to charters and vouchers to, the private side of education, not public education, we've gone way backwards with supporting public ed and just throwing money at corporations left and right. And that's not helping Hoosiers thrive. And so there are a range of tax policies, not extreme, but kind of re-leveling the playing field for Hoosiers and working families. I think we absolutely need to do pre-K for all. We need to consider a child care tax credit and paid family leave. I think those three things will go a long way to help working families. And then just when we think about those $5 billion that we've thrown towards corporations, moving forward, when we talk about economic development policy, we need to make sure anything we do incorporates the concept of dignity of work and making sure that we are focusing first on the workers so that working families in Indiana can thrive. Full stop, right? My goal as a legislator is not to be on the cover of Site Selection magazine as the most desirable place by certain metrics to put a business. I want companies to come to Indiana because we are a great place to live and we have great workers ready to serve those businesses. So those are just a couple of thoughts I had to share on that front.
Yeah. Well, I think you got it down, and I think we are very lucky to be sending you back to the State House. Representative Carrie Hamilton, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Congratulations on being reelected.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's not quite official yet, but it looks like it's going to happen. I appreciate it.
All right.
You're awesome. Thank you, Carrie.
Have a good one.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Up next, we got Mike Andrade, a new member of the House from Lake County, succeeding State Representative Mara Candelaria Reardon. And Mike worked so hard in District 12, and we are glad to have him on, and look forward to seeing him at the State House. It looks like Victor's on.
John. Yes, unfortunately, Mike can't join you tonight. He's still
Okay.
with the volunteers. We're counting
Okay.
some votes up still. We don't
Okay.
want a victory ahead of ourselves. He said if I could grab on this call. But my name is Victor Lopez. I am Mike Andrade's Director of Policy here for his campaign. We're up right now around 4,500 votes here in the 12th district, so we're very optimistic we're going to win. But Mike right now is just busy thanking volunteers. We kind of just found out that it's going to be official most likely, and emotions are high.
Sure.
He didn't want to leave the party out.
No,
But I'll briefly talk about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Please. Yeah.
Yes, briefly talk about what Mike was running on that got him elected here in the 12th district. As you know, it was a seat held by Mara Cunliffe Reardon, and we were sad to see her go, but I'm so happy that Mike was able to go ahead and pick this seat back up and remain a Democratic seat. He ran on a platform for teachers, unions, small businesses, and healthcare in his district. And he hopes to introduce those bills once we get in the long session here in January. But mostly it was for our teachers, giving our teachers the higher wage they need and fighting for our unions and working brothers and sisters is mostly what he ran on and was elected on. We were overwhelmingly endorsed by 17 unions, which is unheard of for the first time runner, and it raised a record amount of money. So we're very, very happy with the results, and right now just overwhelmed with the emotion as he's celebrating here with everyone.
Well, that's good to know that you guys were endorsed by 17 union workers, union organizations, because, he's a small business owner, and so usually there's not the conversation doesn't usually go very well. But to know that he has been able to translate his vision as a small business owner that resonates with organized labor, that says a lot about who that candidate is and who Mike is and who he'll be for our state.
Absolutely. And one more thing to share about Mike, if you don't know him, is he worked every single day. He gave it his all. He was at early voting locations every single day meeting voters. He was knocking on doors. In the midst of COVID, back in March, he was delivering supplies to hospitals. He was going to fire stations to check up on crews to see what they needed. I mean, he didn't stop campaigning for anything. And the results paid off. So we're very happy with that. Like you mentioned before, he is a small business owner, and he was able to make that connection between small business and labor unions, which isn't really seen a lot, and more than anything, he was able to reach across the aisle and bring a lot of, hardcore Republicans, you'd say, and really talk to them and say, look, we can find common ground here. I'm a small business owner. I understand where you're coming from. But I'm also here to fight for our unions as well. So that's something he was able to do here in the 12th district, and I know his district flips back and forth. So I'm very proud of him that he was able to get those votes in.
Well, tell him we got fingers crossed for him and pulling for him, because we need his voice and that Latino voice in our state house, making sure that every community is represented in our state.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I believe he'll be the only member of the only Latino in the General Assembly.
Except for Earl Harris.
Earl Harris, yes, I'm sorry, Earl Harris.
Representative Earl Harris.
Yes. Representative Earl Harris, that's correct.
Yep.
That's correct. So,
great.
But other than that, though, we're here celebrating and looking forward to going down to Indianapolis and making some change down there.
Well, I can't wait to see y'all. Y'all better make sure y'all come have a margarita with me.
Absolutely. I'll put it on the calendar.
I'm trying to get up to Lake County. I need my invite. He already invited me. Y'all just need to tell me when and where, and I'm coming to Lake County to hang out with you.
Absolutely. He has a beautiful car. I'd love to have you over for some drinks sometime.
I'm there. Congratulations. You guys be safe tonight. Good luck.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Mike, congratulations when it's official. So, all right. Dana, I just need just a minute here.
Okay. All right. You okay? I need to take a sip. Y'all, I got a thing of water. Y'all, excuse me. Yo, this has been a good night. We've been hearing from so many of our Democrats who are running across the state. This is what I live for. I wake up in the morning and go, oh my goodness, how can I do more for my party? How can I do more for the citizens of the state of Indiana? All right, coming up next.
We have Congressman-elect Morvan or Ryan Hatfield on, Zoe. We want to bring Ryan Hatfield on for a couple minutes.
Who we got? Either one is fine with us. They're both from the central time zone, so it's only 9 o'clock for either one of them.
Hear me.
Hey!
Hey, how are you, gentlemen?
Jefferson!
How are you?
It's a pleasure to meet you. I've been trying to get with you.
It's a pleasure meeting you, and I'm glad, and I look forward to meeting with you often and as often as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
Chairman, how are you?
I'm good. Is it official?
I don't think it is official. I don't think anything's official yet. With everything, with the absentees and the early voting and the machines today, we are cautiously optimistic, but moving in the right direction.
It was looking good. So we're glad to have you on your way, I think. So it's been a long day. I'm sure you've probably been up since 2 or 3 in the morning, I would suspect.
Yes, it has been an extremely long day. We're here with a small amount of people as supporters, and we're doing everything we can to just make sure that we're enjoying this moment and going forward. Like you said, it's been a long year. It hasn't been a long day, and it's very serious times: pandemic, unemployment, uncertain times for our nation. And I just want to be victorious today, be able to bring certainty to uncertain times and the hope to get through this pandemic, make sure we have a national strategy going forward, and do everything that we can to get ourselves, after we get through this health crisis, to get us back to work. And when it comes to Northwest Indiana, we have a strong labor force and a strong labor union. So working men and women are my top priority. And just making sure we have opportunities with workforce development for all people, and just tackling every national issue that we have going forward. And it's going to be a serious job, and I'll need the help of all 750,000 people in our district and, our support system, the Democratic Party. And going forward, we have to have, just solutions for people.
So go into a little bit about what your strategy was this campaign season.
The campaign season was, the campaign season was dominated by the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the strategy was to make sure that we reached every voter the safest way possible. So we did an enormous amount of texting. We did an enormous amount of lit drops and advertisement, and did everything we could to make sure that we were turning out Democratic and independent voters on our side. Are you with me?
Yeah, I can hear you there. Can you hear us?
I'm here now. Yep.
And we know that was a lot different, as Dana was saying, and in a district where it's more densely populated. People are always getting around. They're out and about, and I know there was some of that this year, but it became a lot tougher. But still, I think your service as North Township trustee and your ability to kind of get out there in a large geographic area sort of paid off, I think. But also you worked your tail off. You had a competitive primary that, I think drove up name ID for all the candidates involved, but you came out of that. And I think it paid off here in the general too.
So tell us a little bit about how you're planning to navigate DC. We know that DC has its own space and its own field, but in order for us to move our country forward, we got to have real conversations across the aisle. Talk about some of your skill sets and the method that you're going to bring to this conversation.
That's a great question, and I guess what all elected officials should do is be able to talk about examples of what they've done in the past. And so one piece that defined our campaign was our No More Secrets bill. And to put very quickly, what No More Secrets was about is here in Lake County and Porter County, and in the state of Indiana, we ranked second or the top 5 states for child molestation cases. And so what we did is we put a coalition of advocates, and we went into the school systems and we talked to over 12,000 kids, and Child Protective Services, who was present, substantiated over 73 cases that we were able to help young people find the therapy that they needed, get out of situations, and empower and educate them about body safety, internet safety, and phone safety. So we took that data and we went to the Indiana State Legislature where my father, who's a Democrat, worked with Republicans to pass a piece of legislation that made it mandatory for every school district in the state of Indiana to talk about body safety, how predators push boundaries, and internet safety and phone safety. And what that does is we advocated for a cause, but I am emphasizing that point. You asked me the direct question. We need to work together to solve our issues when it comes to a health crisis where over 230,000 people have died, and it's not going to be easy. People are embedded. But what I have learned through this campaign is that there is an appetite for civility. There's an absolute appetite to be able to get back to civility and working in an effort to solve people's problems. And I think that our constituents are going to demand that.
Oh my God.
That's an example of what we've done to talk about bipartisan. And so we'll continue that. And here in Northwest Indiana, we have $1 billion investment where Congressman Visklowski, the administration of the state, the administration of the federal government, all work together to be able to create double tracking and extension of the South Shore. And they did that because they had like-minded ideas and they knew it was an infrastructure investment that would make a difference and create economic development in our area for years and decades to come forward. And so we may not agree, and when election time comes, we're going to have plenty to disagree upon, but I am philosophically going to go there and seek out like-minded people to solve real issues in our nation.
Oh my God, you got me excited. I'm glad we're sending you to Congress. Are there people you want to thank on your campaign?
I want to thank everyone. I want to thank my wife, Jane, who's my high school sweetheart, my 2 kids. We had, an unyielding staff of college students that gave of their time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears, went up and down with us for a year. I want to absolutely positively thank the difference maker, which was the United Steelworkers, Director Mike Millsap and Jerome Davidson, and all the steelworkers who walked on, did lit drops, made phone calls, did everything they could to make a difference. The American Federation of Teachers, the International Longshoremen, and our building trades. So there's a lot of thanks, but most importantly, I want to thank the people for believing in our campaign and in understanding that that's how we make a difference, is connecting with and making sure they understand we are going to do a serious job of turning our nation around and absolutely making sure that we do all humanly possible to maintain and reduce and get rid of the health crisis that we face currently.
Yeah. Frank Mervan, we're excited to see you go to Congress. We know it's not official yet, but we expect it to be sooner rather than later, and we're super excited about that. So congrats early, and we're looking forward to seeing you there.
And I hope to be able to harass you and get you to come talk to the listeners of my little show that I had, a little thing I do on Thursdays.
No, what you're going to learn about me is no show is too little for me.
All right,
I would
congratulations.
absolutely enjoy that. And to you, Chairman, I thank you for putting this together and giving, Northwest Indiana and all 5 corners of the state the opportunity to come together on one forum and be able to have a showcase and a platform and for all of us to appreciate each other. This is a breakthrough moment, and I hope we continue it going forward so that all Democrats can speak up, be heard, and listen to what we're saying across the state.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Congratulations.
you all very much.
All righty.
All right.
Good night. Good luck.
Woo, all right. I'm hyped. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, he's great.
Feel like we just got started.
Yeah. 3 hours and 10 minutes in, we're good. We got next up Representative Ryan Hatfield and Representative Ed Delaney. Representative Hatfield represents Evansville, and Representative Delaney is Indianapolis. So, welcome, guys.
Hello, gentlemen.
How we doing? Good evening.
I'm fantastic. I'm talking politics. I'm great.
Yeah. So, how are you guys doing?
Doing real well.
Been better.
Yeah, I understand. But you guys are going back to our state house. You guys are going to go back and continue to fight for legislation. Representative Hatfield, talk about your campaign and talk about some of the things that you're looking forward to when you get back in this budget season.
Hey, we had a tough campaign down here in Southern Indiana, as always. But, Democrats, win or lose tonight, we still stand for the values that make us a party and make us alike and make us worth voting for, in my opinion. And that is that every person, man, woman, and child, have health care in this state, no matter where they come from or who their ancestors were. That every child have access to public education that puts them ahead of every other child in the country. And that Wall Street is not Main Street, and that Main Street is still hurting today and continues to hurt from the past year in 2020 and the coronavirus that has shaken our economy in ways that we continue to grapple with. And so I am hopeful for tonight that Hoosiers will choose a new way, and I look forward to representing the folks down here in Southern Indiana and in Evansville in the State House, continuing to fight for those Democrat values that are healthcare and education and jobs that pay a living wage.
Well, I love getting down to Evansville. Hopefully I'll be down there soon so we can chop it up and continue to grow Evansville and all of Vanderburgh County.
Come on down.
Representative Ed Delaney, how you doing tonight? Come on, buddy.
It's not beautiful. I was in the majority for a couple of years, and then we got slammed with the redistricting after 2010. And I'm afraid we're going to go to that rodeo one more time. The last time we had the vain hope that the U.S. Supreme Court would help us out, which they've now said it's just too dirty for them, so they're not going to touch gerrymandering. So I think we're going to have a tough 10 years, and I think we have, and I don't hesitate to say this, I think we have the weakest governor. I've been here 50 years. This is the weakest governor we've had.
Yeah.
We got a health crisis, and he can't lead.
No.
And what's really more disturbing is that a large number of people don't expect him to lead. That is, I think, the core problem for Indiana Democrats. The Reagan line that government is at best an enemy, government shouldn't do anything, and if it were to do it, it would do it badly. That line is bought hook, line, and sinker in this state. And saying that we could do better or that we should address certain issues like health disparities, you'll get lip service, and that's all you'll get.
And that is
There is
unfortunate.
no challenge. I think the worst thing about this campaign this year has been fascinating to me is that the Republican campaign has been based on the problem that there's nothing happening, on the proposition nothing's happening. Or if you watch the governor's ads, everything was beautiful till February, and don't worry, it'll be beautiful again. No promises, no pledges, no self-criticism. We've heard nothing about what the budget's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
The budget will be cut in the back room by a small number of people who hate public education. How's that?
Wow.
So I'm not happy. And I don't know how we change that. If we can't have a real role in redistricting, and it appears that we're going to be very close to being at 33 seats again. We may be 32. In a dream world, we might be 34. But the hopes that we had of being at 37 or 8 or 9 are apparently dashed. So I think it's going to be a bad moment. One of the most interesting things that happened this year was I think the public caught on to the price of the Republican attack on voting. You know, you saw that in Marion County. People got sick of standing in the rain for 5 hours.
Yeah.
There was a lot of criticism about how our voting system has been eroded. So that's a good thing that came out of this election. I think the public has caught on that all of our griping about the changes in voting was not just self-protective. It wasn't just one of the most interesting things that happened this year.
Yeah, and I saw earlier today where Senator Ruckelshaus was out saying if he's reelected, he is going to be a voice for no excuse absentee balloting. And I kept thinking, where was your voice this year?
Yeah, seriously. Fought hard for it. So
well, anyway, we'll see what we can do. It's going to be an interesting session, and maybe we'll find out sometime what the budget situation is, which is not yet to be revealed. But
yeah,
we'll deal with it. We'll do the best we can. We've got some good voices. We've got some good new people coming in, and we got some good people hanging on, like Ryan. So we'll make the noise we can. I was just hoping we could make more effective noise. But
I think we were all hoping for that, but at the same time, I think we're, I really wanted to see us make a big splash because of the redistricting. That was one of the biggest things, and then also, with the COVID crisis, having somebody to really look at science versus listening to people who are orange. I couldn't understand that part, but I'm gonna stay optimistic because there's still hope. There's still hope.
Ryan's more optimistic than I am, I guess. That's his
So we'll stay optimistic. We've got results still to come in, and it's gonna be a late night. So.
It's gonna be late night.
Ed.
Yeah, I may be here at the low point. I hope I'm at the low point. But
Ed, you and I have had this conversation a lot, and while the votes are still coming in, and I'm not going to judge those just yet, but what I am optimistic about, Ed, and to all Democrats out there is our message. Our message is still one that every Hoosier deserves health care no matter where they come from, that every Hoosier deserves a quality education no matter where they come from. And that still is a message that resonates with Hoosiers and people around the country. And I think it's important, no matter what the results are tonight, locally, statewide, nationally, it is vital that we continue to stand by those ideals and that we continue to fight for those ideals. And I agree with Ed Delaney, who's a mentor to me, that voting and the way that we vote in our elections matter. And the election bills that have been passed by the Republican majority have been nothing short of an effort to stop Hoosiers from having a voice. And so we'll continue to fight for those values. We'll continue to make sure the Hoosiers have a voice in their elections. But we need to do better. I agree with Ed Delaney in that this governor has done nothing to protect your pre-existing conditions. In fact, they've fought it. This governor has done nothing to protect your public education and your early learning and your schools and your pre-Ks. In fact, they've fought it. In fact, they've moved money from public education into other sources of education. And so let's not pretend that the folks on the other side of the aisle, as many of them as are our friends and family members, that they care about Hoosiers health care, Hoosiers public education, and making sure that every Hoosier has a job that pays a living wage. And so I agree with my friend, and I'm certainly still optimistic. It's Central Time here, so I'm an hour behind Ed. Perhaps I'm an hour behind in the votes. But I look forward to hopefully what will be a good night. But either way, I can tell you, Ed Delaney and I are going to return to the State House this November and on, and fight for those values that Democrats continue to fight for and believe in, and those values don't change.
And I have to agree with you, Representative Hatfield. I mean, Representative Delaney's been doing this a long time, and I know that the level of frustration, like, when does common sense actually kick in? And I get that. We know that we've had a leaderless executive branch for the last 4 years. He was an accidental governor to begin with. He wasn't even supposed to be there, but he is. And we just have to, honestly, I mean, I guess I'm, as a Black chick, I'm used to things not going my way all the time. So I'm always looking at these are more opportunities for us to improve what we're working on. I mean, heck, it took over 75 years for women to actually get the vote from the time we started the mission. And it wasn't until 1965 when we had the Voting Rights Act. I know that things are seen gloom and doom, but they're really not. Because we just had a panel of young Democrats. And these young Democrats are so fired up because they recognize they have the power within themselves to create the change that we really want to see. So even though we may not have gotten exactly where we wanted to be in 2020, we have laid the groundwork. Now, if these people out here continue to, and it's frustrating to me, how do we continue to elect people who don't really care if we had to risk our lives just to go vote? They did. We told them, y'all don't even care, right? That some of us are high risk. Some of us have family members at high risk, but y'all gonna have us standing out in the rain. Y'all gonna do it, no excuse absentee balloting. So we already know that the folks that are in the State House don't really care about the lives of Hoosiers. But we have to be there to be the conscience, just like Congressman John Lewis was for Congress. We have to be the conscience, and we have to continue to raise awareness to those people that continue to want to ignore the Hoosiers that are suffering and struggling. Representative Ryan Hatfield, I am team you, because you are saying exactly what we need to hear, which is, okay, the work is not done. Even if we had won all the seats that we wanted to win, we still had a lot of work to do. We had a lot of work to be done to change things, because there's been too many years of neglect. Too many years. We still waiting for the stimulus money to show up. The CARES Act. They holding on to that. This is the same party that says, let's give tax dollars back to people because they know what to do with it better than we do, but they're holding on to the tax relief. I'm just saying, I think I can't let us go like that. We gotta recognize that, yes, it's not everything that we want, but it's just the beginning. We have a whole, man, you missed the young Dems. I'm telling you, there's a group of young folks that are fired up, and even if they don't get exactly what they want this year, they're gonna keep working at it, and we're gonna get you some help, Representative Delaney. We're not done.
Well, we're not done. Don't worry about that. There are many more failures for the Republicans to lay on this state. Our job will be to notice them. So yeah, we're not done. We're not done as long as they're out there, and we're not done because we got a lot of good young people. We got some good new members. I think I saw Mike Andrade on there. I think he's coming in. Yeah. I think he's going to be a strong member. So I think we're doing well on that. We've seen Ryan. We've seen Tanya Pfaff and some of the other newer members stepping up real fast, real soon. So that's the hope. One of the things that is nagging me in the back of my mind, I'm saying, look what Holcomb did for voting. Just think what he can do for the inoculation with the COVID vaccine. Yeah. He'll say, well, maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. I'm sure they're not going to order anybody to take it, God forbid. And if it doesn't get out real fast, well, that's okay. I mean, it's just going to be, and our job is to call that out in advance.
Absolutely.
Say, you better do a superstar job on this, buddy.
Absolutely.
I like my own jokes. Somebody today said to me that, well, the good news is under the rules, since Holcomb's in his second term now, he's a lame duck. I said, I don't think he's a lame duck, because you can't be a lame duck if you've never been a duck.
Exactly.
Here we go. So at least my humor's not dead.
Yes, I love it. And here's the thing, we work hard to get our message out, and yes, we should continue to call him out. I know you and I both do that in our monthly contributions to Indianapolis Business Journal, and we're going to continue to spread our word with Chairman Zody. He's given us free reign to go out here and share our message. And I've been to over 50 counties, and I've been to, and we're not done. I mean, it's a struggle. But there's no struggle, no progress. There's an old spiritual that they used to sing in my church when I was growing up, and it was called "Going Up the Rough Side of the Mountain." See, if you go up the smooth side of the mountain, if you happen to slip and fall, you don't have anything to grab a hold to pull you back up. You're just gonna slide down to the bottom. But if you go up that rough side, if you happen to slip and fall, you got something to grab a hold to pull you back up. Now, these challenges right now in our life may not be fixed in our lifetime, and that's the unfortunate part. But we're not gonna let Indiana just sink to the depths of despair.
Dana, I haven't been to church lately because of this COVID, but you've just made up for it.
Well, guys,
I'm glad I can help, because we got work to do. We need your wisdom, bruh. We need all them years that you've been putting in. We need to know the nuances. The rest of us out here, we're babies in this thing. We still trying to learn, and so we need you to be ready to bestow us with all of your Delaney, wisdom and knowledge and all of that.
I'm doing what I can, darling.
And Representative Ryan Hatfield, you keep whispering in his ear. You keep being his conscience in his ear.
He's good.
Hey, we're not going anywhere. We're going to if you are a mother out there without health insurance, if you've got a little kid who still needs a quality pre-K, if you're worried about the next job you're going to have or what the pay will be, Ed Delaney and Tanya Paff and Carrie Hamilton and Phil Giaquina and Justin Moet and Earl Harris and Cherish Pryor and all the rest of us, we're going to be there. 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 And we're not going anywhere. No matter how hard the Republicans try, we will be there. And so we've got a lot of tough fights ahead of us, but we will be there to have them. And look, hey, I'm glad to be on here with Ed Delaney. There's nobody I'd rather have in the Democrat corner than Ed Delaney.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm gonna start picking your brain a little bit. I think I might have your number in here.
You got it, Doug.
Well, guys, we'll let you go. We appreciate you being on tonight and sharing so much time with us. So
thank you. You guys have helped.
Guys, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Chairman, you want to go another 3 hours?
I think maybe not. I think we're gonna maybe Team DJ is ready to sign off.
Hey, can I just say, first of all, we don't always get what we want when we want it, but I think you have done as much work as you possibly can to make sure that we had access to ballots. And people don't, like I said earlier, people don't know all the work that you put in and the conversations that you had with the Central Committee, and they don't know that you didn't make a decision without talking to the Central Committee, right? They don't know that. But the work that you put in and the fact that you got 2 little ones at home and you decided to hang out with me all night, oh my God.
It's a good company. So I want to thank all of our elected officials and candidates that came on tonight, and Dana, who does this, was a volunteer, and I couldn't have shared the Facebook waves with anyone else. So I appreciate everything you do for the party, and congrats to those folks who won. We're still waiting on a lot of results to come in, but I think we'll be still looking at stuff tomorrow. So thanks for everything you do for the party, and thanks to everybody that came on and watched at home. So you want to close us out, Dana?
Absolutely. Listen, we are not done. There's a lot of work to do, and we get it, but we all have the power to make the change. I'm going to keep saying it until y'all believe it and y'all show up and bring people with you. Our state is a great place to live. If you've had a chance to go up to the dunes in Michigan City or hang out by the river down in Clark County or Switzerland County, or if you've been in the woods and the trees of Brown and Monroe County, you know that our state is a beautiful place. If you like sports, if you like arts and entertainment, our state has everything all the other states have. Our issue is that we just don't have people that care about it as much as we do, and they treat it like a trash can. We have people that are making policies that are impacting our lives, and we have to step up and explain how the fact that if you have asthma and you live in the state of Indiana, you should probably move, because we need people that are going to care about air quality. So listen, our party is working hard. We're the party of people over profits. We care about improving lives. We have y'all see, we got a bench, baby. We got a deep bench of people ready to take on this fight and keep moving us forward and leading us in the right direction. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Indiana's Own Dana Bla, Chairman John Zody, the Indiana Democratic Party. Thank you to all the staff of the Democratic Party who have helped put this on and keep us coordinated. The interpreters who got amazing work out tonight, because I know I talk fast. The amazing interpreters that stayed with us all night. And thank you for tuning in and watching how we do a watch party Indiana style.
All right.
That it?
Thanks everybody. We're off.
Y'all have a good night. Peace.
Yeah.